It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, September 19, 2016. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani back inside our New York City studio. It is kind of cold and rainy outside, so I'm very happy to be inside talking to you for the next 3.5, 4 hours about the great sport that is mixed martial arts. Another busy week in the books. Very exciting stuff to talk about. UFC and Bellator had events this past weekend. Bellator, kind of a subpar one, but they did make some major headlines. The biggest news of the week by far came late Thursday, and that was that Chael Sonnen, yes, the Chael Sonnen, the bad guy, the American gangster himself, has signed with Bellator. Kind of came out of nowhere. Got some rumblings early Thursday that something was in the works, and then late Thursday night, the Associated Press reported that Chael Sonnen had parted ways with Bellator. Chael Sonnen had parted ways with the UFC and had signed with Bellator. Who saw this coming? Of course, for the longest time, I had said that I believed he was on the comeback trail, that I believed he was not 100% retired, that I believed he would fight again. Never in a million years did I think that fight would be for Bellator. This was a UFC lifer. This was the guy that some people thought would replace Dana White at some point. So anyway, that was massive. UFC had a show in Hidalgo, Texas. Some interesting stuff. Chaz Kelly with a very impressive 19-second, I believe it was, submission. Fastest in featherweight division history. Was it 19 seconds? Something like that. 19, 18 seconds. Michael Johnson with a fantastic victory over Dustin Poirier. And Derek Brunson with a very impressive victory as well over Uriah Hall. There was a lot that happened over the past week, and there's a lot to come this week as well. It's kind of an exciting week for women's MMA with Invicta holding a very solid show on Friday. The UFC back on Saturday in Brasilia with a show headlined by Cris Cyborg. Ryzen is back. There's some interesting names, including Miracle Crocop. That has nothing to do with women's MMA, of course, but the fun never stops in mixed martial arts, and we have a super stacked show for you today, this afternoon on the MMA Hour. So let's get into the lineup, and let's get to our first guest, because there's no better way to start this show than with our first guest. Let me run it down very quickly here. Derek Brunson, the victorious Derek Brunson, will join us at 4:10. At around 3:10, we'll be joined by Michael Johnson to talk about his big win over Dustin Poirier. Cult favorite Paddy the Baddy Pimblett is going to join us at 2:45. I have not been hit up by so many fans to get a non-UFC fighter on the show. The last time I was hit up this much was, I hate to say it, but was Conor McGregor after he became a two-divisional champion. And there are comparisons here. Paddy just became the Cage Warriors featherweight champion, and at 2:45, we'll talk to him. I am looking forward to that. He is quite the character. The Scouser himself. 2:25, Iaquinta will join us. A lot going on in his life. Sage Northcutt at 2:05. Always a pleasure to talk to Super Sage. 1:45, Ed Soares will stop by with some major news that will change, not the face of MMA, but big news in the MMA world. Cris Cyborg stops by at 1:30 from Brasilia. But first, let me get to the Skype machine here. And I said at the top of the show, there's no better way to start this week's show. There was only one way that we could properly start this week's show, and it's with that man, Chael Sonnen. There he is, the newest member of the Bellator roster, fighting at gangster weight. Don't call him a light heavyweight, a middleweight, a heavyweight, a welterweight. There he is, Chael Sonnen. Wow, how about this? Chael, congratulations to you. What a big deal this is. Thank you for joining us.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Okay, so this is a shoot right here, right? We're not working, we're shooting on today's show, correct?
All right.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. What point did you decide that you were coming back? Was it when you announced your retirement 2 years ago? Was it 6 months ago? Was it 2 months ago? When did you decide that you are going to fight again?
It was a meaningful period of time. I'm not certain. I'm not certain what the day was, but physically, I've been getting ready for a while.
Was there something that happened mentally? Was there a shift? Did you start to miss it? Was there a fight that you watched where you said, okay, it's time for me to come back?
No, I didn't have any moment like that. It was, I went through suspension, and I was a little busy, and I was doing some stuff, and thought, well, maybe this is just all coming at the right time. And I never wanted to be done. I always wanted to want to keep doing it, but I had a moment where I didn't. I just didn't. I didn't want to put in the work. I didn't want to do the work. I didn't want to do what it took to go out and compete in the sport. And that period, it didn't last very long. It's distant memory now. It was a long time ago, but I remember that coming. I remember trying to deal with that, but. Yeah, I've had my eye on this for a while.
Now, we've talked, even before this news came out, we've talked privately a little bit, and I've extended my condolences to your family over the loss of your daughter. And obviously, I know that's very private, but I just want to ask how you and your wife are dealing, with this incredible pain, and if that had anything to do with your return to MMA.
Well, I appreciate that. I never mind talking about her. She was very beautiful, and I only got to know her for a few days, but she really was very beautiful, Ariel, and thank you for being there for me and my wife during that. But yeah, how are we dealing with it? Oh man, I mean, it's a life-changing thing. I can't imagine we would ever get past it. I think it probably just changes you for the future. My wife is doing really well. She was battling listeria, which is a pretty rare disease, particularly here in America. And she beat listeria, so physically she's doing 100%, and she's as beautiful as ever. You should see that woman.
And was it? I saw the videos of you and your son, which were very, heartwarming to see you back in the gym and whatnot. But did that change? Like, did you think about not coming back? Did that make you want to come back even more? How did what happened to you and your wife affect your professional career?
Yeah, it was definitely the final nail in the coffin. I mean, I was leaning towards coming back. I was in the gym. I was working hard. I was, visualizing it and thinking about that. But yeah, when that all happened, that was it. I was coming back. And I don't know why. I don't know why the two tie in together, but they did.
Okay. When you were on our show not that long ago, you said that, you're not making any, you're not holding back on us. You want to come back, but you need to go through some steps. You need to get back into the testing pool. You need to get tested. So it sounded back then that you were trying to get back into the UFC. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yep.
And you did several tests. How many tests did you take?
I did at least 4. I think that is the number 4, but I did at least 4. And that was the first process. So you're talking about the UFC. So let me set it up for the viewers. So the UFC deals with USADA, and they have what's known as a pool, a testing pool. And you have to be part of that pool for 4 months. Now, Bellator, who I'm with, they're not with USADA. They go under state guidelines. So the state of California, by example, which is Bellator's home, they often use USADA. But as far as being in a pool and the policies changing, they're not subject to the same protocol.
You were telling me after doing some of those tests that you were like, okay, I want to know the results. I want to know if I can continue. I don't know what's in my system from, a previous lifetime. Did you get the results from all those tests?
Well, no news is good news.
Yeah.
With USADA, I don't believe that. I don't think they get a hold of you and go, hey, I think you're just supposed to assume you passed, and then you find out that you didn't. So did I get results? No. Did I pass everything? Yes.
At what point did you realize that you were free to negotiate with other organizations?
Well, I can't remember the timeline, but I did not know that was an option. I thought I was under UFC contract, and there's been times in my UFC career where that contract lapses or you just fulfill it, and I've never thought about ever not going somewhere else or looking around for a different place to compete. It never even crossed my mind. I was always with the UFC and was always going to be with the UFC. So I don't know at what point I realized that paperwork had passed some dates. That was handled by Mike and Jeff, my managers, but it was recent. It was just recently.
So you come to the realization that you are technically a free agent. Do you go back to the UFC and say, hey, let's do a deal here. I want to be in the UFC?
I had my talks all over the place. When I finally talked with Coker only asked one thing, and he just said, "Don't shop me. If you want to do a deal, I'll put my best and final offer forward first. But I don't want to get shopped if that's what this is about." So that was literally the one and only thing he asked for. So we said, okay, we won't shop you.
Considering the success that you had in the UFC, did you feel any loyalty or obligation to Dana White? I know Lorenzo's not there anymore and the organization is very much changing, but did you feel like, okay, let me try to figure out a deal with these guys first before I go to the Cokers of the world?
No, not really. From a loyalty standpoint, sure, absolutely. But a lot of that, what you're asking me, would be like behind the scenes and the paperwork and the negotiations. And I stay out of that stuff.
Okay.
My managers call me. I used to deal with a lot of that myself, and I used to think that was the best way to do it. But over time, man, I had to delegate that.
I guess the point that I'm getting at is you're still a very, very, very big name in this sport. I'm surprised they didn't try to keep you. Are you surprised they didn't try to?
I knew that was your point. I knew that was your point the whole time. I was going to let you dance around it until you finally asked the question. Listen, here's how I would answer this question. I was not under contract with the UFC when I signed with Bellator.
Sure. But
that's it. I am a Bellator fighter now.
The wording of that statement is very interesting. You realize that, right?
Very prepared. Very prepared. I felt like this was going to come up, but I'm comfortable with my answer,
Sure.
And we should move on.
Okay, fair enough. When you signed the contract that you are a Bellator MMA fighter, what was that feeling like? You've been a part of the UFC for so long. Did it take? I mean, I'm sure you're happy. You're getting paid handsomely, but what was it like? Before it came out. Wow, I'm now on the other side of the tracks, as you put it. I'm now with WCW, as you sort of put it. What's that like? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, and yeah, it was a big contract and all that, but it wasn't a cash grab. People say, money can make you happy or whatever. I got $10 million, Ariel, and I'm just as happy now as when I had 9. So I don't really know where that expression came from, but Yeah, it is structured a little bit different. They're different business models. One is in the pay-per-view business model. One is in TV ratings and advertisers. So they aren't the same contracts. They are two different things. And I just want a chance to compete, man. I want to go out there and compete, and that was really it. I didn't get a lot further into that than I don't have an opponent yet. By example, like. I was out doing media. The day that all this broke, I was doing some media, and I was about 20 minutes into it. I was talking to Michael Stetz, and I was just stumbling over myself, and I couldn't figure out what was off. And I finally realized, well, I don't have anything to promote. I kind of did this a little out of order. I've got to deal with the company, but I don't have a fight. I don't have a date. I don't know the opponent. I don't know a weight class. There's no tickets on sale. I don't have anything to tell the fans. Hey, make sure you tune in, mark this day down. I don't have any of that. So in that regard, I've kind of done things. I haven't quite connected the dots. It went a little bit out of order. So I'm trying to speed that up. It appears it's going to be Tito Ortiz in November, but a lot of that's just me talking right there. I don't have any word yet.
Okay, if it is Tito Ortiz November 19th in San Jose, do you like that as your first fight? Does that make sense?
And that's what I think it's going to be.
Okay.
So thanks for saying that. I think it's going to be November 19th and Tito and San Jose and all that bit. But yeah, I like that as a first fight. I like it a lot. There's only a handful of guys I think that I'm likely to end up matched up with right out of the gate. Then things will change. But right out of the gate, I think that the likely suspects are Rampage, are Tito. I heard Rory's name get thrown out there, but I don't know how likely that is. I don't even know if that makes a ton of sense. I hear that Fedor's coming, and I had some questions. Would you go up to heavyweight and fight Fedor? And I think they're going to get Vanderlei too if they don't already have him. I know Vanderlei's got some deal worked out. Perhaps it's with Rizin and not Bellator specifically, but then Bellator and Rizin have something worked out. I say that as a fan because I watched King Mo, who's with Bellator, go over and do some stuff in Japan with Rizin. So they must have some kind of a relationship. And I think those are the likely suspects, probably first, second, and third. I think that's probably the guys I'll be drawn from for right now.
Have you heard anything about a 4-man Legends tournament?
Yes. In Bellator?
Yeah, you, Fedor, Rampage, Vanderlei, Tito. Now, that's 5 people. Who's
I have not heard anything specifically about that. I thought you were asking me just is Bellator going to keep doing tournaments? To my understanding, they are. But no, I haven't. What, are you breaking something to me?
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking. Hey, we're shooting here.
Oh, you're saying like that'd be a good idea? I think that could be a good idea. I like tournaments myself, but I like them in one night. I'm speaking as a fan. I like when tournaments are done in one night. If you call it a tournament and you spread it out, I don't know if that's a tournament or if that's just the company moving forward with projected fights that could take place. When tournaments go down and they're in one night and a guy's got to take on 2 men, or in the olden day 3 men in one night, 8-man tournament, I thought that was a lot of fun. I personally enjoyed watching that, but I see what you're doing now. You're getting, and I like where your head's at. I just thought you were breaking something. I thought you were telling me something that I had missed.
This is by far the biggest contract of your career, right?
It'd be hard to say, man. I mean, I had the record with Anderson Silva. Right. That was a one-off night. We had the.
But as far as like a multi-fight contract,
the all-time record. It's a big contract.
Yeah. What kind of dealings did you have with Coker before all of this? Have you ever crossed paths with him?
I had him on my podcast. And I had met him. Matt Lindland fought in a Strikeforce fight, and I had met Coker in a hallway in passing really fast. And I feel like I've known him for years, because our world is so small. But I had never actually visited with him. And I had him lined up for a podcast, had him on the podcast, and that was really the only time I'd ever spoke to him.
I know you don't have an official date yet, but it's looking likely. Just being back in the news as a fighter, having a contract, do you feel different? Like, do you feel like now you have this mission, now you have a target? Does that change something in your head when you have all of that in place?
Yeah, definitely. That's the one part that's been missing. Like, even when I'm going through preparation or training for this or going to the gym and working out or helping somebody else or whatever it is, it's hard to turn that corner. It's hard, when you start getting tired or you start getting banged up, to push through that if you don't have a finish line out there. And that's one thing I couldn't duplicate. I was going to practice. I was doing the runs. I was doing the lifts. I was doing everything you're supposed to do. But the intensity's different. And I didn't have the discipline or the mental toughness or the ability, however you want to call it, to manufacture a deadline. That's largely why I jumped into grappling, Ariel, just so that there was a specific date, a specific opponent, somebody to really hone in and peak for, to make sure that I did have some of those peaks instead of just staying steady. Because I did have eyes on this and a fantasy about, one day coming back to MMA, being done with the suspension, going through all the processes. So, it did change things. It did. I had a sparring day on Saturday 2 days ago, and I could feel it. I could feel the difference that, there's a point now.
You raised a lot of eyebrows on Friday on your conference call when you said that per your contract, you will be fined $500,000 and lose your entire purse if you fail a drug test. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100% of the purse and $500,000. And that's just to Bellator.
Wow.
That's not before you deal with commission issues. And that could be standard, Ariel. I didn't know that was going to catch on or whatever, but that could be boilerplate. I have no idea. I just know it's in mine. And, when you're coming out of the principal's office like I am, I did wonder when I saw that, okay, did they only give that to me, or is this, and I don't know the answer to that, but
I don't think that's standard. I don't think that's standard. And I'm wondering, if you fight in California, are you okay with the random out of competition drug testing? Because, Andy Foster, who you praised on the conference call, is one of the very best in the business when it comes to that.
Yeah, and see, I appreciate you saying that, because Andy deserves that. And the other side of that is people got asked, Bellator gets asked, why do you guys not use USADA? And there's some people that are just married to those letters, man. They don't even know what they're saying. They just, somewhere somebody told them USADA was great. And so they love to run with that. But historically, they actually have their facts wrong. Bellator started and is based out of California, and Andy Foster was the first commissioner to start using that organization to test his athletes. He just paid for it himself or had the state fund pay for it. And so it was actually Bellator guys were the first ones tested through USADA. Even though it's not in policy historically, that is the timeline. Bellator was tested first.
Do you think Bellator, part of the reason why they signed you is to be a promoter, not just for your own fights, but for their organization? I noticed on the conference call you did a fantastic job of promoting the card that night. Do you think that they're going to ask you to be a sort of quasi-promoter?
I don't think I'll have anything to do outside of my contract. Now, I like to participate and contribute, man. I'm just a big fan of MMA. I love boxing, amateur wrestling. I've got the things that I like to watch. So I'm happy to participate and contribute in those ways. But, yeah, I mean, there's no secret. They brought me over for ratings. It's the bottom line. They brought me over for ratings, and they've got some guys that move the needle. But it's the plight that any promoter has. You can't have enough guys like that. You just can't. Even the UFC, they've got a bunch of stars, man. They have some awesome fights, but they're putting on 53 events a year, and that can be tough. So there's opportunities out there, and you never know. Week in, week out, month to month, year to year, you never know how many guys am I going to have, that can really fill up a building. But that's the business. That's the promoter's got to figure that out.
You were such a great promoter and fighter for Dana White, especially towards the end of your UFC run. What was that last conversation like with him when you said, "Okay, thanks for the time. I'm going elsewhere"?
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. I mean, Dana's a shark, and I mean it as a compliment. Some guys have it as tough. Dana's a shark, and he's tough, man. I don't know how else to put it.
So was it contentious?
I just tell you, he's a shark. I'm comfortable with those words.
Okay.
I mean, Dana's tough, and that's it.
How would you describe the departure? Was it amicable? Do you feel like there's some heat now, some tension? How would you describe it?
I don't know. Here's what I would tell you, Ariel. Here's what I would tell you.
Okay.
I am on a Legends ass whipping tour, and I'm starting with Tito Ortiz. All right, I'm starting with Tito Ortiz on November 19th. All I need is a contract. This could not be any more official of a call out. I don't have the linguistic ability to challenge somebody more articulately or clear. And if Tito does not want to accept, I'll never bully him again, man. I'm not here to pick on him. I will take a no as a default, and I'll move on. But for right now, my message to you and the whole community that watches your show is November 19th, the bad boy and the bad guy.
Are you worried about his injuries, that he might not make it to that date, that you will get emotionally invested, that you will prepare, and then something will happen along the way?
Not if he says he'll be there.
Okay.
One thing about Tito, if he accepts the challenge, I can't remember him pulling him out. I know he shows up, he backs up a Brinks truck full of excuses. He comes with them every time. He drops them every time. I get all those things, but I can't remember a time where he gave his word and pulled out.
What's the impetus to this feud? Like, did you guys have a run-in back in the day? I mean, you've been in the sport for so long, both of you. When did it first start?
Ariel. You know good and well your audience doesn't know the meaning of the word impetus, okay? You know good and well everybody's running to Google. I could say anything right now and these dummies watching would have no idea. I could give you the recipe to chocolate chip cookies and everybody'd be like, well, I guess that's what impetus means. None of your viewers could even spell that word. So, I mean, you want to have this private between you? I could say anything. I could hold up a bottle of rust remover and everybody would just think that this was like fitting to what we were saying right now. Everybody's lost.
Okay.
What's the emphasis of Tito Ortiz? Look, he's a big deal. He's a world champion. A lot of it comes from jealousy. You really want to know? You want to know what got me pissed off and started in this sport in the first place? Was sitting at home and not having an opportunity. I was in a gym every day, Team Quest. I was in a gym. We had no less than 2 world champions in the room on a daily basis. This didn't count number 1 contenders, champions over in Pride where things were fixed. The guys that were coming in and training with us, we had at least 2 world champions on our team every day. I knew exactly where I stood in the world. I knew everybody's name that could whip my ass. All of them. Because I had them on a daily basis. I'm fighting down at the dog park. I can't get a manager to make a phone call for me. I couldn't get a promoter to know who I was. It was a tough spot, and it's part of the sport. Guys go through it all the time. I just remember when I went through it. And I went through this, and there was Tito. All the posters, headlining all the cards, biggest draw, own T-shirt and branding company. I mean, this guy was a huge deal. And I remember being jealous, and I remember thinking, look, Tito's a tough guy. I got no problem with that. But I'm sitting there going, I'm a tougher guy. I do have a problem with that. How do I get my opportunity? How do I break into this? This guy never would be world champion if I was in the business right then, but I couldn't even get a contract to get into the company to get on the prelims to eventually work my way to Tito. I could have stepped right into a main event and whipped his ass back then, but I couldn't get the opportunity. That's where Tito comes from.
Okay. And now you get your opportunity, or you'll probably get your opportunity, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Do you have... Do you feel, I know it's a crazy question to ask a fighter, but because of the way your career stopped 2 years ago, do you feel an extra amount of pressure to not only prove to everyone that you still got it, to not only prove to everyone that you can fight in this new era of drug testing, but also to prove to Bellator that they made the right call by investing in you? Like, does this one feel a little different than, 148 or fighting Jones? You know what I mean? Like, it's different now, right?
Yeah, the third part, I haven't thought about the first two on your list, but yeah, the third part, man, look, I got a job to do, and that's the bottom line, and I'm a company guy. I don't come in and try to take all the money and leave town. I want everybody. I'm a capitalist, but I have a very socialistic approach to fighting, because there's guys on the undercard that aren't going to bring in any money. The guys on top of the bill have got to have a trickle-down effect and look out for everybody else. And, I not only see that as my duty, but it used to happen to me. I was the guy on those cards that wasn't bringing in any tickets, but I needed something too. I had trainers and managers and my own goals, and just to get by, there had to be something. And a lot of times, that came from the top, but there was a trickle-down effect. I see some of these scumbags come in now. They try to grab all the money and run away and go, well, all the attention's on me. And say, you're not totally wrong on that. You are the one bringing in the dollars, but you still got it's still a family here, right? You still got a group. You still got it doesn't matter if it's your opponent, your enemy, or some guy just trying to live his dream, man. The show doesn't go on with just two guys. So, yeah, man, I got a job to do, and I'll do it, and I will deliver.
A couple more questions for you. What would you compare this signing to? Is this Hall going to WCW? Is this Hogan? Like, it feels very much like late '90s here. What would you compare you moving over to Bellator?
I suppose there's a little bit of feel of that of the Monday Night Wars.
Yes.
But I didn't really think of it in those terms, man. I wanted an opportunity to compete, and that was really it. And then the backstory and everything I'm holding out from you, and full well that I am, if you haven't been able to pry me. I'll tell you over time. Okay. I'm just not ready to tell you today.
Why?
But I'll tell you over time. We'll do this time and again, and I will get you the impetus.
Okay. By the way, your friend CM Punk, of course, unsuccessful in his UFC debut. A, what did you think of it? And B, if it doesn't work out for him in the UFC, would you like to see Bellator sign him?
Well, I thought that Punk proved he was a fighter. I thought that he tried very hard. He got put in a terrible position. Physically, he didn't know how to get out of there. He didn't know where to push the knee, which way to roll, how to deal with the fence. That's a reality of a guy that tried to climb Mount Everest and with almost no time to prepare. But he tried hard. He was stuck right off the bat. He tried to get up. What Mickey Gall was doing to him that's as bad as ground and pound gets. He was dry. He had both legs in. He's teeing off, coming underneath, coming over the top. It's as bad as it gets, and Punk was pushing through it, trying to get back up to his feet. Gall's looking for chokes, and Punk's defending and trying to get back up to his feet. So I thought effort-wise, man, he gets an A for effort. Skill-wise, there was a big difference between the two. That's accurate. I can live with that. But I think that Punk had some moments out there, particularly when it's your heart. It's your heart that gets tested. That's really what we want to know as fighters. Who's tougher than the other guy? You can always talk about who's better and whose skills and the reach and who's tougher than who. And I thought that Punk went out there and I thought he was very tough.
Would you like to see him keep fighting?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what he wants to do. I've talked to him almost every day since it, and his attitude appears to be good. He's already back in the gym. He had his fight on a Friday. He was at practice on Monday. I don't know what he did. Did he watch? Did he jump in there? I couldn't tell you those details, but he's there. He's being a good teammate. This looks like this is the life that he wants to do. And will it go back to the UFC, or will it even go to a ring again? I don't know. Maybe it just turns into a hobby, and this is what he wants to do. I really don't know, but he'll let us know, and he's got the skill set that if he wants people to be interested in him again, he'll come on your show and he'll build the interest. We both know he's got that skill set.
Well, Chael, we will leave it at that. Thank you very much. You didn't give us the entire impetus, but I think we got enough. A little taste.
Well, we're going to have to. You got a 9-hour show here with 75 guests that all suck. I mean, you started off with nothing against those guys. What is Ed Soares going to come on and tell us that's going to change MMA?
He's got big news.
What could he possibly have to drop on us that
Stay tuned.
Change MMA?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, everybody stay tuned. The ultimate tease, listen, the ratings are going to drop, Air. They're going to drop with one final word, and you know what it is. Kaboom.
Chael Sonnen, everyone. Thank you very much. The newest member of the Bellator MMA roster. In vintage form, we look forward to his debut in November. Okay, let us move along. We'll talk about Chael a little later on in the program as well. But for now, let us move along to our next guest. She is main eventing the next UFC show this Saturday in Brasília, Brazil. She is arguably the very best female fighter in the world. It's tough to argue against that these days. She is Cris Cyborg joining us on the phone. Cris, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for the great opportunity to be here again.
Yes, a pleasure as always to talk to you. So you're in Brasilia right now, right?
Yes, I just flew, I think almost 5 days here.
What was your reaction initially when you were told that, okay, the UFC wants you back, of course you're under contract, but they want you to main event a show in Brazil? What was your reaction?
You know, the first thing when I know about my fight, I check the calendar and to see how many weeks I had, because it's at 140 again.
Yeah.
And the last fight I did, I had 12 weeks for make 140, and this fight it's 8 weeks. Oh. And I really trained double for this fight. But I really appreciate the opportunity to fight in Brazil again, you know, and be main event. I think all the time I say, when if I ever say, who next after Leslie? You know, I say, have to wait this fight, and you open a lot of doors for me. And I feel very blessed and a great opportunity to fight in Brazil main event.
So were you concerned at all? Did you think about maybe not taking the fight because it wasn't 12 weeks, it wasn't enough time to get down to 140?
You know, my plan is a fight 140 like super fights, you know.
Yeah.
And it keep my weight 145 and defend my belt. I really just make 140 this time is not really my plan. You know, the plan is supposed to make 145. But no, it's a good opportunity to be in Brazil. You know, I appreciate this opportunity to fight UFC again. But you know, I was really on about in this camp. My nutrition coach has started giving to me birth control, and I never take this in my life, and I just take this like 3 months every day. And I feel my body a little weird, but he says it'll be good for me, and I believe in him. And I fly from America, from Brazil, like 168 pounds, and my body hold more water than normal. And you know, I don't think this helped my body, and I was really stressed about this. But you know, I did everything perfect. My training, I train every day. I train, you know, double the training before, and you know, I'm ready for do great show Saturday.
Wait, so you said your nutritionist George Lockhart gave you birth control pills?
Yeah, he told me start because he said it'll help me lose weight.
Really? Wow, I never heard that before.
Yeah, I know. And let's see. This is help. I don't know, but I believe in him. You know, I work with him like 2 years and a half.
Yeah.
And I start to work with him, and in the beginning, you know, I really don't know, and we like be close friends. You know, I believe in him, and let's see. But you know, after this fight, I really don't want any more birth control because I don't think this has helped my body. And I talked to my doctor too. He said this is no good. But let's see. You know, you have to follow somebody, and you know he's in line with me, and we make the last time 140. And that's it.
How much did you weigh when you got the call about the main event, about the fight? How much did you weigh?
Maybe 175.
175. Wow. And you said
175. You know, this camp I don't touch 150. I don't touch 150 this camp.
Wow. And right now, how much do you weigh?
It's really scary. I was looking in the mirror. I said, man, I don't know. I run double, and I don't know why I don't touch the 50s. And it just is something I did different to this camp. It's a take birth control. Because, after the Candy last fight, I don't know why I take this, because we make 140 a successful last fight. It's really hard, but we did. But George had a plan, and he said, okay, you take this birth control, and now I'm on 168.
168?
I fly 168, and I wake up like 165.
Today, 165?
Yes.
So you have to lose 25 pounds in 4 days?
Yes.
That doesn't seem right. I mean, how are you going to do that? That seems very unhealthy.
I know.
Are you worried?
I always, I know I have to do 9% and God do 10%. I train really hard, and I run every day. I train every day, and Ray live with me, and he see everything I eat. And I eat everything George gave to me. I know it's less and it's more. Because I worry about, because this is my main event, and I will do my 100% for do my best. And not just my head in the line. George, it's George work.
I have to be honest with you, Cris. We've talked about this, and I saw the footage of this documentary that's coming out this week. Which is about your debut, and you're on the ground cramping and crying on your way to 140, and we saw the way you look. To me, it feels nonsensical to make you fight in this arbitrary weight class that doesn't exist. For what? What are we trying to prove? I don't understand it. Why are you doing this?
I don't understand it either, but I think if I have blood hair and blue eye, I suppose I have my division, But, I was fight one. I'm really upset about this, because, the girl I will fight, she's a 145-pounder, and she's having to lose weight too either, My team see her, she lose weight too. It's really hard for her, because she's 145 too, same as me. And then I was really upset, because I say I want to make 140, because I would like to make super fights,
Yeah.
Give me people, the 10 top girls, the top 10, the 135, she's having one have like a 1 win and 5 loss, and she's top 10, 135. And then people say, your division just have bullshit girls, and then 35 it's not. But okay, if you're the number 10, you have one win and 5 lose. What I mean? Look, why my bullshit, man? I have a lot of girls in Bellator. Have girls 145. Invicta have girls. Have a lot of girls, boxing girls 150. 160. And I don't think this is I don't think this is skills. Ronda kick a lot of girls 135, as 135, but you have to check who's the top 10. And man, I don't know. But I'm doing my job, and I'm doing this for my fans. I do everything for my fans, because they want to watch me if I'm UFC now, because then appreciate my last fight. And then because I'm doing this, because I make 140, it's really hard for me. Sometimes I say, man, I don't want to do this anymore, because, man, 140 is too hard for me. I don't want to do this anymore. No, I love my job. I think because I'm doing this, and I make 140 for my fans, for do super fights for them.
Okay,
and
but
I want then take me my next opponent.
Right.
If then want I keep 140, I want my fans take my next opponent.
But no disrespect to Lena Landsberg, she's not a super fight. Very few people know who she is. Did you ever hear of her when you were offered her? Did you know who she was?
I really respect all my opponents, because you know me.
Yeah.
I respect all my opponents. Everyone have to be something special for for fight me and for be UFC, and I think she's appreciate being UFC too. And I really don't know her when then say my next opponent, and my team start study her, watch her, and yeah, but I really know she's 145 pounds.
Yeah. Did you or your team have a serious discussion with the UFC after 198 and say, look, if we can't get super fights, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, we just don't want to do this. We don't want to cut an extra 5 pounds for the sake of cutting an extra 5 pounds. There's nothing to be gained. There's no weight class. There's no belt at 140. Did you guys have that serious discussion with the UFC brass about your future?
You know, then we talk about, they know what they know what's my dream. My dream have my division, and have a lot of big girls, and not just me. You know, the girls in the world is no 135 pounds. You know, if you check the girls, the girls don't make this, don't do the weight every day. If you take everybody, yeah, athlete have more muscle, of course you'll be more heavy. And then my dream then have my weight. You know, but if it's not possible now, of course I'll make 140. But I do like super fights. And super fights for my fans want to watch, and because then I think then have to be and find the opponent for me and for being 140. If you're not, you know, I don't have to be UFC for defend my belt and have my division. I can keep 140, make super fight for my fans, and defend my belt in Victor. You know, because I still world champ, you then have to respect this. You know, I still world champ.
Okay, so you think about what's to come in the next 4 days. Are you dreading this? Are you worried? Like, how would you describe your emotions right now as you're going to try to lose 25 pounds in the next 4 days?
Do you know, I have a lot of faith, and something when I get nervous, I pray a lot, and you know, I know my mind. I did everything right. You know, I know I train really hard. I know I train every day, and then I believe in all my team, you know, and I believe in George, you know, and you know, I think it'll be everything all right, you know. I think it'll be easy because never easy for me, you know. I was hard, and even when I make 145, it's really hard, and 140 worst. Everybody will watch my documentary. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
And we start now Cyborg Nation. Every day till fight, people can watch the videos. You put every day if I can see my week before fight, and you know, people will see the reality. It's no worst. It's the reality. You know, I don't did anything for make worse for nobody. You know, I feel sorry for me. No, I accepted this 140 because it's the opportunity I have, and because I don't have my division. But I think it's really nice that people watch and see it's not just my life, the life of all the fighters, you know. And this
Is George in Brazil already?
Yeah, he's flew with me, and
Okay.
he's already here with me. Yeah.
Okay. And do you know if there's going to be the early weigh-ins on Friday morning like they've been doing the last couple months, or is it the afternoon weigh-ins like they've been doing historically? Do you know when the weigh-ins are going to be?
Do you know, I think it was really cool than did now. You can check weight early because you have more time for recovery, and for me it's amazing because, you know, guys see when is how many weight how much I think I cut. And for me, I think it's a big deal change like this. I have more than 24 hours for recover, and yeah, I'm prepared for this. You know, my mind's strong, and something make my mind strong. And when I train hard, you know, if I train hard, my mind's strong.
Okay, but you don't know what time the weigh-ins are at? You don't know if it's early in the morning or later in the afternoon?
It's early in the morning. It's 9 to 11.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, I guess I mean maybe that means that you have less time, but you have more time.
This is not in Brazil. It's 9 to 11 in Brazil.
Yeah.
Just for the people, for the athletes. And for the public, it'll be end of the day.
Yeah. I've had the opportunity to cover some of them. It's good for recovery, but maybe a little early for you. Is it?
Yeah, early for me. Yeah.
Yes.
You probably have to cut the last weight in the morning. It'll be worse. Yeah.
Is it safe to say that this is your last time fighting at 140? If it's not a super fight, that you're not interested in fighting, you know, some opponent that doesn't really mean much. I think every time you fight, quite frankly, is a big deal, and you alone are enough to make a 145-pound division. I'm not just saying that because you're on the phone. I've said it time and again. But is it fair to say if it's not a Miesha Tate, a Ronda Rousey, a Holly Holm type of opponent, you're not going to cut to 140 anymore?
You know, I think something. I don't want to say I'm never fight 140 again because it's not true, but probably I will. But a lot of things have to change. You know, for making 140, I sacrificed a lot of things in my life, in my diet, my training, my thyroid. I take medicine to thyroid every day because this is dieting. It's insane for making 140. And I started to have problem with my thyroid too. And I think you have a lot of things to put in table before I make 140 again. And I still have in my contract with UFC, and I have a couple fights too, but my division, we have to sit down, and after this fight, I love fight UFC, I love the opportunity they give to me, but, my health is more important than everything in my life. After fight, man, I want to have my family, and I want to be enjoy with my, I don't know, but... Yeah.
Have you ever had to cut this much weight before a fight, 4 days before the weigh-ins? Have you ever had to cut around 25 pounds?
I think one time because I was period, in the period.
Yeah.
Girls on the period is worse.
Yeah.
I think girls can have 5 pounds extra when in period. I think they would rather have to put this because, man, the girls, it's really harder than men's. The men's make easy. Then we eat right 2 days, then lose 10 pounds, and the girls, it's really hard. It's really hard. And then now, the first time in my life I take birth control, like 3 months. Now I really know, because I never take birth control.
Yeah.
Now I really know what the girl's talking about, And then, yeah, I think it'll be hard, but, I'm prepared and be ready.
Do you recall how much you weighed on the Monday before UFC 198?
I think let me see. I think I make it like 153, 152 Tuesday.
So 153, 152 Tuesday, that's around 12, 13 pounds less than you are right now. And still, we saw from that footage that you were crying on the ground, that you were in a lot of pain. I'm worried. You're not messing with me here, right? You're really...
But, I think because the birth control hold more water than normal. I hope so, But the problem is the water have to take out my body.
So you're really 165 pounds right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And you're eating? Are you eating?
Nah, George just bring me like one apple and like seeds. I'm like a bird now, like a couple apple and seed, and yeah. But yeah,
is George?
Cannot stop eating. You need to eat a little bit, like 3 hours, because if you stop eating, you stop lose weight. But now it's no lose weight because man, you cannot lose weight in 2 days like in muscle, And let's see what's going on,
Is George in the room right now?
No, he's not here.
Oh, he's not here. Okay. Wow. Okay, but you're still believing that you're going to do it, that it's going to be okay, and that you're going to be able to fight on Saturday.
You have to keep believing.
Yeah.
That's the end. Fight is the death. Have to be the end.
How many fights do you have left on your UFC contract? Do you know?
I repeat again.
How many fights do you have left on your UFC contract?
3.
3, including this one.
3.
Including this one?
Yeah.
Okay. And in a perfect world, what do you want next? You get through Lena Landsberg on Saturday. What's the best scenario for Cris Cyborg?
If super fight somebody else, super fight, I will defend my belt.
In Invicta?
Yes, man. I'm champ over there.
Sure. Yeah. And they have a show on Friday, which is kind of...
Or then can make my division, give my belt same than did with Ronda. Ronda first UFC should then give belt before.
Yeah. That's what I think they should do. I think you deserve it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a possibility? Are you hopeful that that's going to happen or not really?
No, I don't think so, because Don White just did the interview yesterday. He say no.
Yeah, but so he said there was going to be no women a couple years ago, and now there's women. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I just have to do my job, go over there Saturday and do a nice, amazing job, amazing fight for all the fans, Brazilian fans, be there. And for the Giovanni president give you the opportunity to fight in Brazil again, I really appreciate everyone here. And I just want to make my super fight Saturday, and after this I want a vacation and think about, and let's see what's to be next.
Okay, Cris. Well, I wish you the very best. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and good luck to you, and keep us posted. And I hope that everything's okay, and please, be safe and be healthy out there, okay?
Okay, no problem. Thanks so much.
Okay. Obrigado.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Obrigado.
Cris Cyborg in Brazil, telling us that she weighs 165 pounds and has to cut around 24 or so to hit her weight on Friday. What? That is some scary stuff. All right, let's move along. We'll talk about that a little more as well later on in the program. But now we have to get to our next guest with some major breaking news. I said at the top, I told Chael Sonnen, this is big. This is very important for the future of the sport, the growth of the sport, the health of the sport. We've got Ed Soares on the phone right now, longtime friend of the show, friend of the program. the president of Resurrection Fighting Alliance, longtime manager, of course. He is joining us right now on line number one. Ed, are you there?
How's it going?
Ed, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. So there's a lot going on in your world. There's some rumblings out there. Let's get right to it. The floor is yours. What do you want to tell us?
Well, what I'm here to tell you is that Resurrection Fighting Alliance, the RFA, and Legacy Fighting Championship has merged. We merged into one organization, and we just signed a 5-year deal. It's a 5-year deal with Access TV, and starting in 2017, we're going to be doing 30 shows a year on Access TV, and the new name is Legacy Fighting Alliance. The LFA is the new name of the new company.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you and everyone involved. When you say merged, what exactly does that mean?
Well, basically, both of our companies came together, and we formed this new entity. So that we merged our companies. So this year, Legacy did 14 shows. We did 13 shows. So us together, we're going to do, as LFA, we're going to do, starting off in 2017, 30 shows, and hopefully in the future, maybe even do more.
Wow. How long has this been in the works for?
This has been in the works for about 6 to 8 months.
And why? Why did you feel, as president of RFA, that this was beneficial to your organization?
Well, I just felt that, between the RFA and Legacy, we were the two organizations that are sending the most people to the UFC and to Bellator. We were the two the premier developmental organizations, and I felt that Legacy did an incredible job on their own, and we did an incredible job on our own, and we were both going to be successful individually. But I felt that when we joined forces, we'd be much stronger together as a unit than we would be separately, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create the NCAA of mixed martial arts, and by Legacy and RFA coming together, that's exactly what we built.
And what is your position in this new LFA organization?
My position, I'll be the CEO.
Okay.
And Sven Bean. Actually, Sven is here with me too. You're on speakerphone. Sven's on the line, and Sven's going to be the COO of our new company. Hello,
Sven. Congratulations to you as well.
Thanks, Ariel. Good to be on, man. And we're happy to be breaking it on your show, man. It's going to be a good thing for the sport, good thing for the fighters, and we're excited.
And I appreciate that. So, Ed, are you going to be the promoter, the face of the organization still?
Yeah, I think that's what I'll be. That's the position I'll be in, and I enjoy doing that. I mean, we're actually we just got to Houston right now, and we're going to be meeting up, with Mick and just getting together and setting up the game plan over the next 3 days over of how this is going to be all working out. But yeah, I'm going to be taking more of that role.
And you mentioned Mick Maynard, who is a longtime owner of Legacy and sort of the face of that organization as well. I got to ask you this. I saw him on the stage at UFC 203, and I've heard that he was in the running to replace Joe Silva as matchmaker for the UFC. Is this part of his transition out of that company and into the UFC?
Right now, Mick, obviously everyone knows he's a very well-respected guy in the mixed martial arts community. And the way I look at it is, he's got a lot of opportunities right now. And right now he's got to make some decision on what he's going to do. And I think that within the next 24 to 48 hours, he's going to be pulling the trigger on what his next steps are going to be, and everyone will know.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he won't be a part of this new organization, LFA.
He's not going to be a part of the managing of running the company, no.
Okay, and is it fair to assume that just all the fighters on your roster, all the fighters on the Legacy roster are now just under one umbrella?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be under one umbrella, and the great thing is, everyone knows, with the sort of exposure that we're able to give them on Access TV and being over 45 countries all over world. I think that with having that many amount of shows, I mean, I think if a fighter's goal is to get to the next level in their career, I really don't see a better organization to do that with, because we're not doing 6, 8, 10 shows a year. We're going to be doing 30 shows a year. So if I was a fighter, for me, I would think it was a pretty easy decision where I'm going to be signing and where I want to, the place where I want to consider my home.
Okay, so
add to that, Ariel, on
please.
an operational standpoint, we, RFA and Legacy, both have commitments through the end of 2016 as independent promotions. Our guys, we're going to continue our shows. Our guys are going to fight. But what we will be doing is we will be having their champions fight our champions to create the inaugural LFA champion and go on from there. And that whoever that person is, whether, whoever holds the belt is going to be the king dog in that weight division, and we're going to build our rosters kind of based on that. So that's the plan moving forward. But we still both companies still have 3 shows to do, 4 shows to do this until the end of the year. So
okay, so go ahead.
We have a lot of other things too that we're going to be announcing. Probably within we're going to put out probably going to have a press release or a press conference to kind of announce a lot of the other things that we're doing that are going to really make it different. And we, like I said, we really want to create this NCAA, AAA league, a developmental organization, and that's what we're really excited about in growing the sport. And at the end of the day, when we're all gone, I just want to know that we're able to make a difference, and being able to help guys achieve their goals and being a part of one of the steps in their career to get them to where they want to go is I think what we're about, and I'm real excited to do that 30 times a year next year.
Are you hoping to be the official sort of minor league system of the UFC so that they can't go to other organizations in North America? They just, if they want to send a fighter down to get back, on their feet, to get back on track, they'll send them to you, and then you can give them talent. Like, is that a goal here, or is that impossible given the structure of the sport?
Hey, everything's possible. I mean, when we started off in this business, that's what our goal was to be a developmental organization for the UFC, and that's not going to change. I just think that it's kind of obvious that that's what it's going to be. I mean, what other show out there is doing 30 shows a year? And it's going to be developing talent and letting them go to further their career. Nobody else out there is doing that. The UFC, you sign a deal, you're with the UFC. That's where you want to be. If you go to Bellator, that's where you're at. And for us, we're developing these guys. And we're handing them off. So I don't really see another organization in the world that is capable of doing that with the amount of shows that we're doing.
Okay, so 30 shows is a lot, obviously, and as I mentioned, you also you've been a manager for many years, likes of the Nogueira brothers, Anderson Silva, the list goes on and on. Are you going to be able to do both?
No, I'm not. And starting in the beginning of 2017, I'm going to finish out my duties. Listen, guys like Anderson, guys like Nogueira, guys like Lyoto, these guys are my friends. These guys are my family. I'm still going to be there with them. But as far as managing, my partner George is taking over Tough Media, which will be the management company, and I'm going to be focusing 100% on the LFA. And it's a bittersweet day. The management. I've had an incredible management career. I've had a blessed career. But when it boils down to it, I feel that there's really not too much more that I can get from the management business that I haven't already gotten. I've managed one of the greatest of all time. I've managed various champions. And being a manager has been a blessing. But I'm really excited about this new chapter in my life, about helping guys get to where they want to go, because I had to really dig deep and think about why I got into this business. And when I got into this business, it was really for one reason, and that was I really enjoyed helping guys get to where they want to go. And as a manager, I was able to do that with a lot of different guys. And I just feel that with the RFA and now with the LFA, what's going to happen is that, like for instance, in the RFA, we've put 52 guys into the UFC in the past 3 years. And out of those 52 guys, only 6 of them were guys that we kind of worked with. And that's what kind of made me see that, you know what, I'm able to help so many more people and touch so many more people's lives as a promoter than I was able to do as a manager. And that's what makes me feel good. That's what fulfills me, is helping these guys achieve their goals. It's like, you know, when guys fight in the RFA and now when they fight in the LFA, it's like a fraternity, man. For the rest of your career, we're there supporting you, helping promote you, even after you leave, because it really, for us, it's not about getting the guys to the UFC or to Bellator. It's about keeping guys there. And that's what's important to us.
Are you going to have an exclusive relationship with the UFC, or can guys still go from RFA to Bellator?
No, they guys can go to where they think is going to benefit their career.
Okay.
I mean, we're a developmental organization. So to me, it's kind of like I've said many times before. When I look at the landscape, of mixed martial arts and I compare it to American football, I look at it as, okay, you know, you've got the NFL, which is similar to the UFC. You've got Bellator, which is kind of like the Canadian Football League. And now with Legacy and RFA joining forces, we're truly like the NCAA. And all those other organizations out there that are televised, to me, those are like the arena footballs. Yes, you're on the road, but where are you on the road to? And that's the difference. Is we're the LFA is a place where you're stopping through on your way up, or you're stopping through on the way down. If you want to test yourself against the best talent that's coming up in the world, this is where you're gonna do it at. So to us, we're really kind of we're like a minor league team or a minor league organization. So when you're on your way up or on your way down, that's where you're going to test yourself to see if you're still really, really ready to compete at the highest level.
So playing devil's advocate a little bit, a minor, let's say a AAA team for the Yankees, they're still under the Yankees umbrella, so they don't have to necessarily worry about, you know, making money, selling tickets, etc. Of course, it's something that they want to do, but as long as they're part of the Yankees family, they're still going to be around. A college football team like the University of Michigan can't have their quarterback just taken by the Buffalo Bills this Saturday.
Totally.
So how are you guys, how do you make money as a promotion, an independent promotion, when you can make a star, he becomes a champion, and then tomorrow he's gone, and now you have to build a new star, and then a new star? Isn't that very, very trying? Isn't that a very tough task that the UFC, Bellator don't have to worry about? Because when someone's under contract, they're there for, you know, X amount of fights. You can have your top guy that you've been grooming for 2-3 years gone in a flash.
Yeah, you know, that's the way a lot of people think about it. And, you know, we've always taken a different approach, and we kind of like to think outside the box. But at the end of the day, we're not here promoting one particular fighter or the other. We're here promoting the organization. And what people are going to be tuning into the LFA for is they're going to be tuning in to watch the future stars. And that is actually our slogan that we came up with, which is LFA, where the future is now. You're going to be able to see the future superstars now, and that is our goal. So people are going to be tuning into the LFA not because Bill's fighting or Tommy's fighting or whoever. They're going to be tuning into the LFA because they want to see the best unsigned talent compete,
okay.
And that's what we're promoting.
How many fighters do you think will be under this new LFA umbrella? How do you think, like 200, 100? What's the ballpark figure?
Infinity. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea because we run our business a little bit differently. So, I mean, we are going to be doing 30 shows. We're going to have a lot of guys signed, but we haven't really gotten boiled down to how many guys we're going to have signed because, you know, as you can see, guys get signed from our organization. So, I mean, every week just about, like, we've only done, with the RFA, we've done 43 events. And we've already put 52 people inside the UFC, not including everyone that we've sent to Bellator. So when you look at it that way, it's really hard. We're going to be constantly signing people and constantly letting people go to move up. So, you know, currently right now, when you look at how many in the current UFC roster, we have about 14% of the current UFC roster have come from our RFA and Legacy alumni. So I believe with the amount of shows we're going to do, I think that that number is only going to increase over the next few years.
Wow. So you're going to do almost as many shows in 2017 as your promotion has done in its entire history.
Yeah. That's right.
Great.
You are correct.
Any new markets? I mean, typically you seem to be going like West Coast, Midwest, not a lot of East Coast shows. Are you going to be, I don't think you've ever been to Canada. Are you going to start expanding now a bit?
We're going to start expanding, but we're definitely going to be hitting the East Coast. And with doing that amount of shows, our goal is really we're going to do 30 shows in 2017, and in 2018 we're planning on doing 40 shows a year.
Wow! And just for sort of semantics, is it fair to say that RFA bought Legacy?
No,
it did.
No,
okay.
It was a true merger. We
okay.
basically came together. We came together and we merged. It wasn't we bought them or they bought us. We just kind of we just got married.
Unbelievable.
They have their staff,
yeah,
and we have ours. And on the amount of shows that we're doing, if you add up what Legacy did last year and what we did last year, it's close to 30 shows anyway. They have their existing markets that they're been going to for years and do very well at, and we have the same. And so we're going to hit all those markets. But at the same time, with the new venture, we're able to go into some new markets, and we definitely 100% want to go to the East Coast because neither Legacy or RFA have really put our footprint down there. But as the LFA, I can guarantee that we will.
Who approached who? How did it start? Did they come to you or did you go to them?
Actually, to be 100% honest with you, when we got involved with the RFA, one time in one of our first meetings that I had with Sven, I told him, I said, what we need to do to really make a move. And I didn't even really know Mick at the time. And I just said, we need to merge with Legacy because I knew that Legacy and RFA were the guys that were developing the most talent. And I think that was the best way to give both of us the best leverage in the market. With doing this, amount of shows and putting on the sort of products that we've been putting on and putting on the types of shows we've been putting on, I think it really opens up a lot of opportunities in many ways. By doing 30 shows a year, it really opens up from a marketing standpoint, from a platform. We're doing 13 shows. Legacy was doing 14 shows a year. But together, us doing 30 shows, we can really build some strategic partnerships with the right sponsors and with the right people that want to get involved. And I think that, having 30 shows and having that sort of a frequency is really going to open up the doors to really bring bigger and more mainstream sponsors and more mainstream partnerships to our organization.
Last thing, do you know when the first LFA show will be? Do you have a date yet?
July 13th. I'm sorry, January 13th.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, that seems a little...
Yeah, January 13th.
January 13th where?
Houston.
Houston. And that's interesting. That's kind of like a backyard for Legacy. And do you know who will be on the card yet, or is it too early?
I know I'll be there.
All right, fair enough. That's why I'll go. Because you'll be there.
But there will be. We do have some things in the works that it's gonna be a big card. We're gonna probably try to have at least 2 of the new inaugural LFA champions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna in the determined weight divisions, we're gonna have the RFA champion fighting the Legacy champion for the new LFA title.
Okay. Well, that's fun. Well, congratulations to you guys. Ed, Sven, thank you very much for coming on the show to talk about this. Like I said, a very important piece of news, and especially when you talk about guys coming up to the UFC, trying to, revamp their careers, trying to go to Bellator, as Ed spelled out rather convincingly and clearly, a lot of those guys come from either the RFA or Legacy. So why not make it into one organization? I wish you guys the very best. Again, thank you for coming on the show, and we'll be keeping our eyes on this. I'm looking forward to seeing, what it turns into, the new organization, and especially when you're putting on that many shows. I wish you guys the very best. Thank you.
Thanks, Ariel. And hey, I'm heading to New York at the end of the week, so if you have some time, maybe we can
always have time for you, Ed.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. All the best. Ed Soares and Sven Beam, CEO and COO of the new Legacy Fighting Alliance. It was the Legacy Fighting Championship. It was the Resurrection Fighting Alliance. Now they're one. And interesting to note that Mick Maynard, who was on that stage at UFC 203 in Cleveland, I pointed him out. I saw him earlier in the day. There are some strong rumblings that he is going to go over to the UFC to be a matchmaker and perhaps replace Joe Silva and have Sean Shelby take Joe Silva's weight classes and Maynard take Shelby's. It's all very fluid, but that seems to be the strong indication. This appears to be another strong indication that this is happening. And I've actually reached out to Mick Maynard to ask him about it, but he said he couldn't talk about it at this time. So we'll see. 24, 48 hours. That's what Ed hinted at. Let's see what happens. But all signs seem to point to it, especially after the news Ed just broke. Okay, let's move along. Sage Northcutt is always in the news. It seems like everyone is calling this young man out. We have not heard from him in quite some time. Last time he fought was UFC 200. Big win for him over Enrique Marin, and he joins us right now via the phone. Sage, how are you?
Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sage. It's great to have you. You know, I'm a little disappointed. We usually like to have you on via Skype. This time, I think for the first time, you're on via the phone, but we'll take it nonetheless. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Where are you right now, Sage?
So I'm actually in the car. I'm heading to Dallas to train. So that's the reason why I couldn't be on the Skype right now, even though I would love to be. I don't have any Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's all good. Why are you going to Dallas to train?
So I actually have a friend up here. My friend Drake Dudley, his dad, and one of my coaches, Alan Moeller, I'm going to be training with up here in Dallas. So that's what I'm going to be training right now.
Okay. So as I mentioned, you're always in the news, but you were very much in the news last week. Mickey Gall defeated CM Punk and went on the microphone and said he wanted to fight you. Did you hear this? Did you see the fight?
Yes, sir. I did see the fight. And then actually, when he said that, me and my team, my coaches, actually reached out and said yes to the fight.
Oh, so you want to take this fight?
That's great with me. So I said yes to it, and I'm looking forward to it.
You get called out every week, it seems. Why does this one interest you?
That's funny. You know, actually, I like the fact about 170 for this fight because my previous fights, I've had a tough time making weight at 155, having tough weight cuts. So after this fight, I'm going to go back and I'm going to figure it out. And it's been kind of like trial and error with me with the weight cuts. So I'm doing one at a time. I'm getting used to it, and I'm figuring it out. But after this fight at 170, then I'm going to go back and make sure I get that down.
Okay, so is there a chance that you will not be fighting at 155 ever again?
No, I absolutely will, for sure.
Okay.
And I think I've just been having trouble, I guess, cutting the weight and having the right weight cut. I've been doing it on my own. So after this fight happens at 170, then after this, I'm going to go back and make sure I get that down.
Now, of course, back in January, you had that, short notice fight against Brian Barberena. Didn't go your way. And that was at 170. Are you worried, considering how that fight went? I know you were dealing with a lot of health issues, that fighting guys at 170 is just too tough. They may be a lot bigger than you.
No, I'm not worried about fighting at 170 at all. And that was a weird deal, Mr. Helwani, because I was having one fight, just like Mr. Zahabi actually told me, having so many fights so soon, cutting so much weight to go down to 155 over and over and over, like I did at the time, having 3 fights in a row back-to-back, very close to each other, it runs down your immune system. So that's what happened. Then coming up about a week before the fight against Barberena, my immune system was run down. I was very sick. We figured that going up to fight at 170 would be a great thing, but at the time my body just didn't heal up and it wasn't feeling right. So, but this time coming around, I guess having more time notice for it and to fight at 170, I should be healthy.
Now, do you know when this fight is going to happen, you versus Mickey Gall?
So there's nothing officially confirmed yet, and I know the UFC and we're talking about it, but hopefully December time. That's what it looks like.
Okay, because he was pushing for New York, November 12th. Is that a little too soon for you?
Normally that'd be great, and I would say that's great, but to tell the truth, I haven't really gotten to train very much just because I'm healing up from a staph infection, actually. That's getting cleared up, and just coming off of my last fight, I would have liked to train more, but all I've really been able to do since the fight was just train a few body parts here and there, working out in the gym with weights. Not much grappling or stand-up like I'd like to. So December time.
Okay, so is this the same staph infection that you were dealing with before UFC 200, or is it a new one?
So what's weird is there's so many different kinds of staph, actually. And I was told from various doctors that there's staph pretty much on everybody on this earth that's walking around every day. So that's what's weird. it can get in your immune system, get inside your bloodstream, and it can travel throughout your blood, and that's the last thing you want. So that's why I haven't been able to train very much coming off from the fight, because I caught this staph, and it's a weird thing, and it's actually similar to the one I had in Canada, but this one's healing up quicker. And what's weird about it is if you get your heart rate raised up too high, that's how it spreads.
Oh.
And that's the last thing you want. So I've been having to be very careful of what I do and what kind of training.
Are you worried that you're a little more susceptible to getting staph while training?
You know, it's the fact that's on our bodies every single day. That's definitely kind of creepy for sure. But but getting to I guess eat more. So if this fight happens at 170, getting to eat more and walk around my normal weight and not have to constantly undereat, diet down, and make weight at 155. I think I should be healthier for sure and should keep that away for this fight.
Now, did you watch the Mickey Gall CM Punk fight? Did you watch it live?
Yes, sir. I sure did.
What did you make of Mickey Gall as a fighter? Were you impressed by him? Were you not all that impressed? What was your takeaway from that fight?
So looking at that fight, actually his previous two fights in the UFC, he fought two guys that came in to fight him, which I've actually never seen happen ever before, that had an MMA record of nothing. So they had no MMA record. I don't think they had no pro MMA record, no even amateur MMA record. So they had no fights at all. And I think him just going in and fighting two different guys that had no fights. I think they were both close to 40 years old or something like that too. It's almost like fighting someone's dad. So that's only trained very little for a fight, and it was definitely interesting if you think of it that way.
Yeah. And then he fights CM Punk, who obviously had no experience either, and he's close to 40 as well. Were you impressed by that win, or was that what you were expecting?
Well, I think everybody was expecting that, and I just want to say that CM Punk, that was awesome for him to get out there and have the guts to go out there and fight, because not everybody will do that. So to get inside the octagon and he said it was his dream to go out there and fight his dream out there. So that's awesome for him. And I think everybody kind of expected it to go the way it did. He was fighting a guy that's trained very little, and the fight went just like I'm sure everybody expected.
And then he gets on the microphone. Did you have any inkling? Did you have any idea that he was going to mention you almost right away?
No, sir. I was just watching the fights, and I was just checking them out.
Okay, and then he starts calling you names. He says you're corny. Like, he's getting a little personal here. Were you offended by it?
No way. You kidding me? You know what was funny, Mr. Helwani?
Yes.
Is that he said he's talking about my hair. He wanted to punch the spikes out of my hair, and he said, looking at that from his fights that I've seen, in his pictures, his hair kind of looks like mine. It just doesn't have the hair gel in it. It doesn't look like so. I'm thinking maybe he should get some hair gel and style it or something.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Them's fighting words, Sage. Yeah, he's kind of playing with his hair on the way to the cage and, being the cool guy and everything. So he didn't get under your skin. He didn't offend you with any of the words that he said.
No, sir. Absolutely not.
Is it fair to say that skill-wise and experience-wise that he's below you, that you feel like this is kind of a step down for you in a way?
Well, all I can say is that I believe I had better grappling than him, and I believe that better stand-up. If I want to go out there, I can take the fight wherever I want. So if I want to go out there and stand up with him and knock him out, I believe I can do that. If I want to take him down and submit him, then I believe I can do that also. So nothing he does in any area of the game really impresses you all that much? Nothing that stands out to me.
Okay. And going back to UFC 200 for a second, were you, considering what happened in January, were you feeling more pressure? I know we talked about it a little bit before, but in the locker room in the hours leading up to the fight, because it was such a big deal, what were you feeling like as you were preparing to try to, snap the sort of losing streak, if you will? I know it was just one, but try to get back on track. What was going on in your mind, in your belly? How are you feeling?
Oh, I felt great. There's no pressure on me, actually. So that's one thing that's great about me, is that I don't have that pressure on me, I guess, that's pounding against me, or I'm feeling nervous about this or that. I just don't feel that out there. So that's good. But something that's interesting is all the fights that I've had at 155 so far, since my weight cut has been tough, I just haven't felt quite right out there. So if that makes sense, my body didn't feel quite right. I haven't performed like I know I can. So it'll be interesting going out there to fight at 170 for this.
Oh, okay. I totally see. Now, were you happy with your performance looking back? I know you said you didn't feel quite right, but overall, were you happy with what you did out there at 200?
Yes, sir. I was happy. Obviously, everybody wants to finish their opponent off, and I was honored to be able to fight on UFC 200, and just have the ability to fight that night.
Yeah, there were a couple of points where it seemed like it got a little tricky for you on the ground with the submissions. Did he ever have you in a tough spot where you ever considered tapping? Were you ever worried that you might have to tap?
Sure, I had very tight joints, so I felt good while I was out there. But he did have a few positions that were pretty tight. And, I heard that he was a pretty good grappler after the fight, and I thought that was interesting.
Was Maran tougher than you thought he would be?
I really can't describe how tough my weight cut for this was. So
wow,
it really wasn't I guess the amount of toughness of my opponent Marine when I was out there, but it was a great fight, and I'm glad he took the fight.
Now back to the present. How quickly after hearing the Mickey Gall call out did you guys call Dana White and say we want in?
So actually, our team called him within just a few minutes, actually, I believe.
Wow.
And it was very, very soon after that.
Do you get a kick out of all these people? Almost every single UFC show, someone calls you out. Do you find this funny?
I do find it pretty funny. I mean that's actually a compliment.
Yeah.
That people want to fight you. What I find funny is if some of the guys at the top try to call you out or towards the top, because that doesn't make sense. If they're taking I guess going backwards in the rankings when someone's trying to work their way up, that doesn't quite make sense. They should be going to try to call out the champion if they're going to call someone out. They're trying to improve their game.
It is kind of so you just laugh it off. Do you have any idea why everyone is calling you out? Why are they always picking on you?
I don't really know what to say about that, but I take it as a compliment.
All right. Well, it's good you take it as I saw a picture that you posted not that long ago on your Instagram, and you wrote cinnamon bun, and I guess you're working out your legs. I've never seen anything like this. This photo has to be, I wish we could show it right now. This photo has to be Photoshopped, right? I mean, this is unbelievable. The muscles in your thighs are just bulging out. This is crazy stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Which picture I'm talking about?
Oh, yes, sir. No, it's not Photoshopped. That's actually a real picture.
That is insanity.
That's a picture that I believe my brother took it, actually.
Well, he's a great photographer. Why cinnamon bun? Why did you caption that cinnamon bun?
Oh, thanks. You know what? My nutrition company that I get all my supplements from, called the Broader Nutrition, that I order my supplements from, they have a new RTD, which is a ready-to-drink protein shake, and a cinnamon bun flavor. Oh. And I was just pumped up that I was drinking cinnamon bun while I'm working out, because it tasted like an actual cinnamon bun dessert.
How many sessions do I need to partake in to get thighs like that? What do you think?
Thanks, Mr. Helwani. It definitely takes a lot of work for sure. But,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, if you eat right and you're constantly working it, then I know it could happen.
Do you ever have a cheat day where you just eat very poor, a poor diet, junk food? Like, do you have one day of the week where you kind of go crazy?
No, sir. I mean, of course, I've eaten junk food before or eaten out somewhere, but I always eat very healthy, and I think that's why I walk around very lean, and that's also possibly a reason why it's pretty tough for me to get down to 155, because I'm a pretty big 155er, and walking around, get my body fat checked. I had checked a few times, and I walk around with close to 3% body fat, so
whoa,
that's why it's pretty tough.
What's your biggest vice as far as food is concerned? Like when you want to just kind of get some comfort food, is there something that comes to mind?
I love sushi, and I know it's not that unhealthy, but
come on.
But sushi's got to be my favorite.
Sushi is not a vice. If that's your biggest vice, then I'm in big trouble.
That's funny.
So that's it. No chocolate chip cookies, no cheesecake, none of that. Sushi is where it ends.
I do like chocolate chip cookies, but
okay.
I would have to go with sushi probably. How about you?
That's a good question. I really like tiramisu cake. I talked about that last week on the show. Have you ever had tiramisu cake?
I think I've tried it before. It's been a long time, but I think it's very good.
Yeah, it has a bit of a coffee taste to it. My mother makes a fantastic one. In fact, she's listening right now. I'm sure she'd make you a slice the next time you fight near Montreal, the East Coast. She'd be more than she's a big fan of yours, actually.
Oh, that's very nice.
I think all moms are fans of yours.
Oh, thank you. Hope I can meet her sometime.
Yeah, and that goes, and as we wrap this up, that goes back to Mickey Gall and his trash talking. I thought, it was a bit below the belt to say that you were corny and whatnot. Call the guy out, but I thought maybe he took it a step too far there.
Yes, sir, I agree, and I think a step too far was when he's cussing and
yes,
and saying the curse words out there, because I don't know. He says that's how he gets people's attention, but I don't know what kind of people's attention he's trying to get. If he's cussing out there, is it the families, is it the moms, the little kids that are watching? I don't know, but it doesn't seem very appropriate.
Do you think that this guy is kind of, in dreamland, like you said, he's defeated these guys who are going into fights with no pro or amateur records? The Mike Jackson, CM Punks. Like, do you feel like he's in for a rude awakening when he fights someone like you that almost has now 10 fights under his belt professionally?
Well, like I said, I've never heard of it before, fighting two people that have had 0 fights, pro or amateur. So I think anybody that's in the UFC is very talented, and anybody he fights, it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. And last question for you, Sage. And again, thank you so much for the time. It's always great having you on the show. I feel like the sort of social media stuff has quieted down. Like you're now sort of settling into your groove. People are really supporting you. And if they're not, they're kind of just leaving you alone. Is that accurate? Has all the sort of hysteria of earlier this year sort of quieted down, and now you're in that groove as your career settles in?
Yes, sir, a little bit. And, it doesn't really ever quiet down, actually. So obviously the UFC is great at social media. So the social media is always growing, which is awesome. So to me, the more fans, the more people that I get to meet and I guess reach out to, and I get to enjoy watching me fight or travel and watch me do this or that and follow my career, I think that's a blessing. So that's awesome, and I like that. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's quieting down. I think it's just basically getting started.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean the love that you get, maybe just sort of the jealousy and the nonsense tweets and things of that nature, but you always have such a great head on your shoulders. I think you're a fantastic role model. Let me ask you this one last question. Is there a specific date that you want in December, that pay-per-view in Toronto, that Fox show in Sacramento, that pay-per-view in Las Vegas, December 30th? Is there a specific date that you have in mind?
Not a specific date in mind right now, but probably towards the mid of December.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, maybe in Sacramento Fox. Sage, again, thank you so much for the time. Safe travels to Dallas. Again, I always appreciate your insight. Always appreciate having you on, and I wish you the best in getting that fight against Mickey. And who knows, maybe we'll talk to you before the fight. I look forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in that one.
Thank you very much. Me too. And sorry I couldn't do the Skype today because I was driving, but I would have loved to.
Next time for sure. It's a date.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sounds great.
There he is. Super Sage Northcutt stopping by. Looks like he may have a big fight on his hands against Mickey Gall. How about that? That's a big one. I like it. It makes sense. Let's do it. December it is. All right, let's go from Super Sage Northcutt to Ragin' Al Iaquinta. There he is. Wow, look at this guy. There he is. Realtor to the stars. Are you a real estate agent now?
I am.
This kind of came out of nowhere. I saw your Facebook page. Are you at your office right now?
I am.
Yeah. Usually you're in, your bedroom. You're kind of in this dark. It feels like an underground layer. But now here you are. You're like, you've gone pro on us.
Or the opposite.
Or the opposite. Okay. When and we're gonna get to all the stuff about 205. But when did you discover that you wanted to be a real estate agent?
When I purchased my house, I had a lot of fun doing it. I liked looking at a bunch of houses. Real estate's good. Houses, money. Money is good. It's a good opportunity. Real estate is a good opportunity to make money in real estate always. So it's I enjoyed the process of buying my own house, and then I met through getting my real estate license, I met people that are doing real estate investments, and I hooked up with them. And I have a mentor, Nick Lamagna, who actually trains at Soares, and he's flipped houses all over the country. So he's been showing me a few things. I haven't really done much yet, but looking to get into the real estate industry.
All right. Well, I wish you luck with that. Now let's talk fighting here, because a couple of weeks ago, word got out that you were targeted for UFC 205 November 12th in New York City, Madison Square Garden. That's the card we all know as a Long Island boy that you wanted to fight on, and we heard that the opponent was going to be Thiago Alves. Very big fight, big name, etc. Rumblings late last week that this fight was in jeopardy. And then this morning you talked to foxsports.com and you sort of lay it all out there. And you confirmed that you are off the card. Is that true?
Pretty sure I've been pulled off the card. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
I asked for more money. When I just looking at my contract and what I've been through, just a number of things. There's a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of reasons that I asked. I talked to my manager. I said, look, I really can't see possibility of fighting for what the contract here is for. There's a lot of things that have changed since I signed the contract, and for me to go in there, risk, my health, risk everything that you risk when you go into a cage fight. I just said, look, I can't do it. We got to ask him for more money. We got to ask for, maybe we can negotiate something. And my manager told me there's probably not a good chance of that happening. So I said, you know what? Look, I can't do it. I can't financially. I can't fight for this purse. If I win the fight and they take taxes out and I pay my trainers, I make okay money. Okay. For fighting in a cage, I don't know about it. God forbid I don't win the fight. Taxes, trainers, all the expenses, everything that goes into a training camp. I'm basically fighting at Madison Square Garden for free. And it's just unreasonable. So I asked him to reach out to the UFC, and from what he tells me, there was no consideration of a negotiation whatsoever. So that's that.
So what did they? So your manager Dave Martin reaches out late last week and says, "Hey guys, yes, you never signed the bout agreement, right?"
Never signed it. No, it was sitting there, and I was just looking at it, and I was like, "Oh, MSG, it's going to be so cool." But then I was thinking, I can't afford to do that. I can't do it. It's just, and to fight at Madison Square Garden, and you know how many people are going to know me? I fight at Madison Square Garden. Imagine you see me driving around in a freaking 2005 Nissan. Dude, you just fought at Madison Square Garden. What are you doing driving this car? It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed, so I can't. And it's not like I don't live a crazy life where I'm spending money. I have no chance. I have a modest house in Long Island. It's pretty, it's not a very expensive house, and that's basically all I spent my money on. So it's not like I haven't gone on a vacation in years. I haven't spent a lot of money on anything. So my money, I'm pretty wise with saving money. So that's not the reason. It's just, there's not enough money being paid to me to do what I'm doing, to risk my body. The last couple of years, the last year and a half, year and change, I don't know, since my last fight, since my knee, it's been stressful. It's been depressing. At points, I thought my career was over. I needed a knee surgery for a knee that was injured, fighting in the cage. I fought for the UFC. I injured my knee, and I was basically just told, listen, we'll pay for 50, hospital special surgery, where is the best surgeon who does this surgery. It's a very expensive place, very expensive. It's the most expensive hospital, but he is the best guy. And for someone that wants to fight again, that's who you want to go to. And they said, because it's so expensive, normally it would cost $15,000. So we're going to cover $15,000 and you can cover the rest. And I said, well, I can't cover the rest. And even if I could cover the rest, I wouldn't be able to cover the 8-month rehab process where I'm sitting there not making any money. So I don't understand how they want me to do that. It's not possible. So they asked me, they wanted me to get a stem cell injection. Stem cell injections have been proven not to work in articular cartilage injuries. But their doctor wanted me to do it. So I flew to LA. I saw him. That's what he recommended. I come back. I got this stem cell injection. 6 months later, what was it? 5 months later, something like that. No results. We're back where we were, and I wasted 5 months of my life just on something that I knew it wasn't. I told them it wasn't going to work. I knew it wasn't going to work. So, I went back to the doctor and he said, let's just schedule the surgery, put a little pressure on them. Maybe they'll pay for it. And then it was the Saturday before the surgery, and I'm sitting there and I wasn't getting a call back from the medical department. It was the weekend of a big fight. I was in the car just like pulling my hair out. Like, what am I didn't know what to do. I was so frustrated. And last minute they came through and they paid for it. So I got my knee surgery, and I was laid up for a while. It was hard. It was hard for me to make money. That's another thing. The Reebok. When I signed the contract, there was no Reebok. So I had sponsors paying me monthly. I was making money. The Reebok thing comes, boom, all the sponsors stop paying me monthly. So here I am making this money. I have this surgery, and all the money stops. I had to, instead of worrying about focusing on my knee and focusing about getting back into the cage, I'm focusing on, oh man, am I going to be able to hold pads for these guys in 3 months so that I can make a living, so I can pay my mortgage, so I can live, It's funny how things change when a different perspective I had through this whole thing. So it was frustrating. And, that just changed my outlook on everything. God forbid I take this fight, $26,000. I win, I lose, whatever happens, I get hurt somehow. I got nothing to, I'd have to take off time from my clients. I'd have to take off time with the real estate that I'm learning. I kind of got myself in a groove to stop that, to take a fight where I could be, risking everything. It's just not worth it for the amount of money that they're going to pay me. I would be great. Be great to say that I fought at the, Madison Square Garden, but, after a while, it's, you're just saying that there's nothing to show for it. And that's, that's basically why I took this. That's why I took the stance that I took. And, it's a tough one because I'd love to. There's nothing I'd love to do more than to fight at Madison Square Garden. But just, I feel like to not even have a negotiation, and to when we the things I heard Joe Silva say to my manager about me when he asked just to negotiate, F him, F this, who is he to put a price tag on what my life is worth, on what my knee is worth? In a couple of years, I've had 2 knee surgeries already. I may have to have another one after, 9 more fights. Who knows? I might have to have another one. Am I going to be able to walk? Am I going to be able to live an enjoyable life? And for him to say, F you, F this, I'll cut him. I'll do, I don't know. Is he retired? I don't know exactly what he said. It was through my manager, but I heard it wasn't, maybe we didn't see eye to eye, and maybe I'm not worth what I am. But for you to F this, F that, you've never stepped in the cage. You don't know what my body feels like after a fight, what my body will feel like down the line. So for a company like the UFC to talk to me like that, to talk about me like that, it just doesn't sit right with me. And then, I think it could have been resolved a whole different way. I think we could have gone about it a whole different way. I don't know. Just frustrating. It's frustrating that, under the situations they are, that now it's at Madison Square Garden and now it's so big. And, but It's something that I got to do this because I go to a fight and everyone sits around the table. You know, we'll go out to dinner with a bunch of fighters or whatever, and everyone sits around the table and everyone's saying, "Oh man, you know it's just talking about the Reebok deal, talking about how they're losing money, how it's tough to get by, flying people to get a good training camp. You got to bring people in, you got to pay, you got to do this and that." I flew people in for Gilbert Melendez fight. He got pulled for what he got pulled for. And and then they don't give me any of my show money at 9 days before the fight. Some guys get show money, some don't. For some reason, I didn't. So it's tough. It's tough.
If the contract remains the way it currently is, are you prepared to not fight again?
Yeah. Unless I become like you know what? No. And even if I did become, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
So right now you're in limbo, or in your mind you're off the card and you're just going to sit back and kind of see what happens.
If anyone needs to buy, sell, or rent property, I'm the guy you talk to. That's what I'll be doing, I guess.
What do you think it will feel like on November 12th when that event happens? Will you be able to watch it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it'll be cool. I'll be kind of wishing I was there, I'm sure, fighting. Yeah. But I'll be proud of myself that I took this stance and that, you know, I'm not just going to get walked all over. I definitely, it'll be mixed emotions, but it'll be what it is, man. I'll be proud. I'll be proud of myself, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are supporting me already. I've seen support on Twitter, and I know there's fighters that wish they could do what I'm doing. They wish they could. They wish they had the balls to do it. They wish they could say, you know what, you know, I'm not fighting. You know, I'm not on the card. It would be, you know, everyone. It was a lot of people, oh, you're on the MSG card. And in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. But you know what? Is it really worth it? And I don't think it is. And the other thing is, a bonus, winning a bonus. I can't win a bonus. So I kind of factored that into the whole.
Why can't you win a bonus?
They took the bonuses away from me. Before the Gilbert Melendez, it was supposed to be Bobby Green. I was supposed to fight Bobby Green.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 or 6 weeks before that fight. There was a fighter summit in Las Vegas.
Yep. And,
you know, I'm just getting into training camp. I'm just starting to get really, you know, start pushing hard. And I got sick. I was at Wadman's fight. He had a fight somewhere before that. And I come home from Vegas, and I was, you know, I was feeling sluggish. I wasn't feeling good. My immune system was run down. So I called the UFC and I said, you know, would it be, I told them, I said, I got this fight coming up. I don't feel good. I'm sick. Can I take, is it cool if I stay home and train? I'm not getting paid to go out there. In my head, I'm thinking, I'm not getting paid to go out there. I'm going to get paid to fight. You would think they would want me healthy and good to fight, you know? So, they said, you know what? We do these summits every couple of months. We'll get you come, you know, stay home. You come to the next one. So I was like, all right, cool. A couple of days later, I posted a picture of myself. I just posted a picture that I was at the beach. And now the beach is 5 minutes. It's my backyard. I was in my backyard, and I get a text message from I didn't know who James Kimball was at the time, but he texted me and he's like, I thought you were sick. What are you doing at the beach? So I'm like, dude, what is it? I felt like I was cutting class, you know? I'm like, listen, I got to fight in 5 weeks. I'm relaxing in between training sessions. There's a guy trying to kill me in 6 weeks. Relax. I'll go to the next one. So I get a call the next day from Reed Harris and Dave Scholler, and they're like, well, you know, you can't win a bonus. This is your punishment. You can't win a bonus. Actually, no, they emailed my manager first and said they can't win a bonus. I forget how it happened, but then my manager got a conference call with the three of us. I explained everything. I said, listen, I got a fight coming up. I was sick. I went to the beach in between training sessions. That's not going to make me more. It's not going to, you know, what does that have to do with anything? And you said that they do these every month. I could go to the next one. What? I don't understand what the big problem is. And at the end of the phone call, I just, I laid it all out there, and they were just like, you know what? Nah, punishment still stands. 3 fights, you can't win a bonus. 3 fights, no bonus. So I'm like, 3 fights, no bonus. That could be, it's potentially $150 or even more $1,000. And you're going to take that away from me because I missed. They said it was, a 3-strike rule. I guess there's a 3-strike rule. Basically, there was no due. I didn't go before a committee. I didn't get to explain my case. It was just like, you got loud with James Kimball because he reprimanded you about going to the beach. So now you can't win a bonus for 3 fights. And that really stuck with me. It was just that was, I don't know, that they could do that really was just, it, I don't know, disgusted me. It was like, why do I even want to do this? Do I even really want to do this anymore?
As you know, Al, the topic of a fighters association is very much in the news. Do you feel like that would, if that was in place, something like that in place, that would have helped you in these cases where there's someone supporting you, there's some kind of backing here, and there's sort of an agreement in place that, you could have known about a 3-strike rule, you could have known about this, not just some sort of arbitrary punishment that comes out of nowhere.
No, of course. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be, some representation for the fighters. There's really not, so what happened, if they don't like you, they could do whatever.
Yeah.
So,
would you like to get released?
No, I love fighting for the UFC. I love fighting for, it's the best organization in the world with the best fighters in the world. There's nothing I enjoyed more than fighting. When I hurt my knee and I thought my career was over, I was, that was a hard time for me because there's nothing I like more than fighting, but there's nothing I like more than standing up for what I think's right.
Yeah.
And what I think I've earned. I've earned more than that. I've earned more than I've earned a discussion. I've earned the discussion. I've earned the right to ask and not be cursed at and, put down. I feel like them paying for my knee surgery was almost like a gift. Like they went above and beyond to pay for it, where it's like I hurt myself fighting for not a lot of money. It's like I was fighting back then. I fought on the Ultimate Fighter to get to get to the UFC where you're going to make all that money in the UFC. And then I get to the UFC and it's like I'm still fighting to get that next contract, where that next contract is awesome. And then I fight, I beat Ross Pearson, I beat Joe Lazone, who are, tough. These guys are tough guys, these are big name guys in the UFC. And I'm like, wow, I made it. I did it. We're going to renegotiate and I'm going to make money. And then they come back with what they came back with. And I was like, oh shit, that's nowhere near what I thought I was going to be making. And it's the same thing. It's, you know what? You should just sign the contract, stay in the good graces of the UFC and win 3 more fights, or win 4 more fights. And then you sign the big one. But it's like in a perfect world, I would have done that, I would have done that 2 years ago.
Right.
But I got injured. And before that too. So you're not getting paid on what you do. You're getting paid on what you can do. And for a lot of guys, that doesn't happen. They never reach that point. I still plan on reaching that point. I will reach that point. I was minus 250. I saw online against Thiago Alves. That's a fight that can put me right up there in title contention. I freaking whoop on this guy in my backyard in New York City. His freaking arms look like popsicle sticks at 155. And freaking, boom, I'm right there. But I'm not going to do it for freaking pennies. I'm going to be famous in New York, and I'm going to be driving around in a freaking 05 Nissan. What are you, nuts? I got pulled over. I pulled over to text the other day. I'm texting someone, so I pulled my car over in Wanto, and I guess some people know me from the fight. They watch the fights and stuff, and the pizza guy was driving by, and the pizza guy rolls down and he goes, "Yo, Iaquinta, what's up, bro?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "Yo, you're an animal." He goes, "Dude, you should be driving a nicer car than this, man. You should be driving you're hard, man. You got hard." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. All right, all right? Like, what the hell do you say to that?
Sure.
Like, you know?" So I don't know, man.
Are you hoping that coming out and talking about this today will get them to rethink their stance and offer you a better deal? Like, in your mind, is the dream dead for now? MSG returning in November, coming back from the surgery. Are you hopeful that this will be the end result after today's discussion? You coming out and talking about all of this.
I'm not even really thinking about that.
Okay.
I don't see from where, I just don't even care anymore. I thought like when they weren't going to pay for my surgery, I thought my career was over. So I made terms with that at that time, So I'm like a guy, I just really don't even care. I'd love it. I could take it or leave it. It is what it is. I'd love to fight in Madison Square Garden. It doesn't seem like they want anyone to negotiate at all. So I'm not going to sit and cry about it. I'm going to move on with my life. If there is a negotiation, that's great. We can talk about it, but I'm not banking on that by no means. So
I don't know how much you pay attention to this stuff, and I'm not putting anyone else on blast, but it does feel like the fighters, not really in unison, in independently, are sort of striking and coming to the realization after the sale of the UFC that, wait a second, we are very much underpaid here and we deserve to make more, especially when you hear how much other people in the company have made as a result of the sale. Do you feel like that's happening? Do you talk to your peers? And are you all starting to realize that for the last few years, you probably should have been making a hell of a lot more than you were making?
Nah, everyone knew that. Everyone knew it. We used to sit around, like I said, I'd go to the fights, and everyone sits around the table, and it's just like depressing. It's like blah blah blah. Like, oh, I'm not getting this. Oh, I can't believe now we're not getting sponsorships. I can't believe now they're gonna do this to me. I can't believe I'm not. And no one does anything.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna get done. I don't know.
So it's time to do something.
Everyone just takes what they can get, and hopes that they'll win 3 fights. Hopes they'll knock everyone out, hopes that the UFC is going to like them, and then they'll be able to sign that new contract. And when they sign the new contract, it's going to be all good. But that very, very rarely happens to a lot of guys. And there's a lot of guys who are they're very beat up. They're struggling, and and it's tough. So. I understand, a lot of people, they have families, they have kids, and they have to fight for the money, but I don't have to do that. I don't have any of those things right now. So, honestly, if I'd be happy just to, I'm cool with just like moving to by the beach and just chilling on the side. That's all I need. I don't need a lot. I don't have the kids. I don't have the family, so I can afford to take this stance. So that's what it is,
And to sort of put a bow on everything here, I kind of was joking a bit about the real estate stuff, but I do 100%, hope that it works out and support you. That's the reason why you're doing this, right? I mean, you'd rather be in the gym. You'd rather be preparing for big prize fights. You don't necessarily want to be a real estate agent at this juncture of your career, but is it fair to say that you feel like you have to in order to support yourself?
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah. I got to think, when I went back to school, when I first, right after I had the knee surgery, I was like, it was, what is it? The spring semester. I went back to freaking college, and that was just not for me. I was thinking I got to figure out something, because this fighting, it's good, but it doesn't seem like the UFC likes me very much. It doesn't seem like, and I'm not one to just cower down and be like, please just give me scraps. you know. So I got to figure out something, you know. I got to figure out what I like to do, and real estate's one of the things that you can do it's a lifelong thing. You know, there's 75, 80-year-old people that are selling real estate. So one day I'll be an old 75-year-old man hobbling around on freaking half a knee that I have, and whatever. I'll be doing that. So
I hope it doesn't it end like this. I mean, you're too good. You're too young. Too much potential as far as fighting is concerned for it to end like this. I sincerely hope that something is resolved and that you get what you are owed and what you deserve, and that we will see you in New York. I don't think it's going to be the same without you, my man. It really won't. We need to have Raging Al there. It won't be the same. It will be a sad day. This is kind of...
Yeah, this is going to get off freaking easy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. There's still time to spare. Will you? One last thing. Will you guys reach out anymore, or is it kind of? Are you just gonna move along, and if they want to reach out, they can reach out? It's done, right?
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
We're gonna reach out, get the F-bombs thrown at us. I'm not that guy.
Yeah. Well, I respect you, man. Much respect.
Thanks, Harry.
Good luck to you, and you always have a home here.
Hey.
Yeah. Give props to those who are supporting you.
That's the one right there. American Ethanol, # more than a fighter. They stuck by me a lot. So shout out to them.
All right. All the best to you, Alan. And please keep us posted on this. If something changes for the better, and hopefully not for the worse, but please do keep us posted. And where can people reach you if they want to buy real estate from you? Give us a plug.
You can call me. My number, I'm kidding. Facebook.com/Raging Al Realty.
There it is.
Or hit me up on Twitter @Iaquinta.
All right. All the best to you, Al. Thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks, Ariel. Appreciate it, man.
There he is, Al Iaquinta, still very much one of the very best fighters in the UFC's lightweight division, one of the very best fighters in the UFC. A sad sight to see him sitting there when he should be training, when he should be preparing for the opportunity of a lifetime. Man, it does certainly feel like the winds are changing here, and a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and a lot of fighters coming to the realization that, hey, we should probably be getting a lot more, especially coming off the sale of the UFC. And it appears as though Al Iaquinta had that epiphany, and hopefully cooler heads prevail and that they can figure this out, because it will not be the same without him on November 12th. I can assure you of that. Okay, let's move along now and talk to our next guest. He was the big winner on Saturday night in Hidalgo, Texas. He knocked out Dustin Poirier. There was some fireworks before the fight, during the fight, after the fight. But boy, a lot of people are talking about Michael Johnson now, and I do believe he is making his MMA Hour debut. What took us so long? I have no idea, but he is joining us right now on the phone. Michael, are you there?
I am here. Thank you. Feels good to debut finally.
Yes. What happened? Give me crap. It took us a minute. And you noticed, and you're pissed off. Is that accurate?
I'm not pissed off.
Okay.
A little disappointed. Ariel. I thought we were on the same page, but now I guess I just got to go out here and do what I did Saturday night, and then everything will start rolling, and I'll get what I deserve. So it's all coming along. So.
Well, it was a very big win for you. It was a very important win, because you were talking going into that fight like your back was against the wall, that you needed to win, that this was a must-win situation for you. When you say all that stuff, and I heard you on Brian Stan's radio show on Tuesday, and I thought that you were very honest and open about your life and the state of your your financial situation, all that. What do you mean when you say my back was against the wall, that this was do or die?
Well, coming off a one controversial loss and then another really close loss, that's 2 in a row right there for me. And you know how scarce it is in the UFC. And, you don't want to be on the other end of a cutting block and seeing, oh, man, I just lost 3 in a row, or like I really need this money and I got things to pay for and I got bills that are backed up and I just came off this long layoff. So I felt like I was fighting more than just Dustin in that fight. And I think it showed that I was fighting for a lot more.
Did you feel that pressure? Were you getting a little more nervous in the days and hours before the fight, given how much was on your shoulders?
No, and that's the thing. I didn't feel any pressure at all. I knew me and my team put me through an amazing camp, and I just knew everything was clicking on all cylinders, and I was relaxed and focused, and I was just ready for war that night, and that's going to continue to be my style the whole way through my career now.
How desperate were you in terms of finances? I mean, I was listening to your interview with Brian, and it seemed like you were in some kind of trouble. Is that accurate?
Well, not necessarily like trouble, but I mean, it's just that when bills get backed up and you haven't fought in a while, and it's things like that. Things need to get paid for, and you get so. I mean, places need to be bought. I need to find a new place to live now and everything like this in Florida. So I was just in the process of moving in the middle of my camp and everything like that. So it was a real rough camp. I was dealing with a lot, kind of hard to make ends meet at some points. And, where you're having to borrow money from friends, and then so it was real tough on me. And us as fighters, we're a real proud group of guys, and it kind of does something to a fighter when we have to reach out and seem like we're needing more help than what it seems. So.
I also heard that you said that your personal life wasn't great at the time. Is that accurate?
No, I don't. I mean, my personal life is always been my personal life. Everything was great. I think what you just heard me say, I didn't really have like the loving like life that Dustin went back to after his camps. I would go in the gym, I would go home and sleep and relax or some things like that. I didn't go home to like a loving family and a loving wife like that.
Right.
So.
Do you want that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. And, when the time comes, the time comes. But, things happen for a reason and things go on and we live. But, I'm in a great place right now, and especially after this win. And I just know what I need to do and I need to focus on.
Was there any previous history between you and Dustin? Because it definitely seemed as things started to, ramp up towards the ceremonial weigh-in on Friday that there was some heat there. And I know that's always the case. You're about to fight another man. I mean, there's a lot of emotion involved. But was this ever personal between you two?
I didn't think it was personal until I heard all the bullshit that he was saying about me. Really like downgrading my skills. I'm an average fighter. I'm not great in this way. I mean, I get trash talking, but at the same time, like I've been around Dustin before. We've hung out. We've been in the same areas. I mean, we live 20 minutes away from each other. So, I thought it was pretty much cool between me and Dustin, and to hear him talking shit about me, that just shows really fake, and I didn't really like that, and I didn't really take kind of that.
And then you go into the fight, and wow, I mean, you've had some great performances in the UFC, and this one was rather short, but is it fair to call this one your best performance?
It was one of my best performances. Absolutely. I think I've had some great performances, but It was definitely, I wouldn't say it was my best performance. I would say it was my biggest statement up to this point. I definitely think this was a win where I needed to go in here and remind people how dangerous I am and how dangerous I can be. And that's exactly what I had to do.
And then, of course, there's been a lot of talk about your sort of post-fight celebration. What did you say to him when he was out?
I said, "Fuck you" when he was out. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, everybody heard what I said, and I was really emotional after the fight. But I don't regret what I did. I apologize to him after that. But at the same time, I felt disrespected, and who's to say I was in the wrong for doing what I did? It's okay for him to talk trash and talk shit before the fight and push me in my face at the weigh-ins, try to poke my damn eye out, but I stand over him after I knocked him out, and now all of a sudden that's a bad thing to do. We're kind of, it's a little hypocritical.
Yeah. So why apologize if you don't regret it?
Because I can see how it kind of went. I think I did take a little overboard with, fuck you and fuck him, and I'm not that type of person, so I could see like the look in his eyes, and I said, man, I just knocked you out. I just did what I did. I'm going to go ahead and apologize and just kind of brush things over. You know,
Okay.
I don't want to, you know, it was more of a, I'm apologize to brush things over. It was in that aspect. You know, I don't want to go on, you know, and have a bad relationship with this guy just because we fought and things like that. And so I had to apologize and just kind of, you know, make it a little bit right. So
And
it was showing more respect
Sure.
than after that.
Did he accept your apology?
Yeah, absolutely. He accepted it, and we exchanged a few words in the cage, and you know, we still have a mutual respect for each other. But I think that's as far as it's going to go now.
What's it like when you have so much emotion? You're so amped. There's a lot of adrenaline, and the fight only lasts 95 seconds. When you get to the back, are you able to come down, or do you need to go for a run? Do you need to get it out? Because I feel like you still had a lot more left in you.
I did. I had a lot more left in me. I tell you, man, I was ready to fight 30 minutes. And, you know, I was ready, and this was going to be my night regardless. And, yeah, I still had a lot left in me. And I went and hung out with all my friends and family. And I think I started wrestling with my friends in the hotel rooms all night, you know, just because I was still worked up. And I was like, man, I don't feel like I did enough yet. I still want to fight. And, you know, I'm wrestling around with my buddies and everything like that. But, you know, now I'm cool and relaxed, and I'm just, hey, it's right back in the gym. You know, I got to carry this momentum.
I think it was on your Instagram, you posted a picture of some pizza that your family brought you. And
yeah,
I'm a big lover of pizza. Tell me about this pizza, because it was fascinating to me that you were so excited to have this slice of pizza.
It's Emo's. I don't know if you've ever been to St. Louis, but I think this is the only place you can get it in. It's like they call it the Square Beyond Compare, but, you know, it's some of the best pizza I've had. I think it's the best. So every time they come to my fights, you know, I can't go home that often. I'm in Florida. I'm training. So, I mean, they just rally up everything, all the food I want from St. Louis, and they bring it. So they brought me White Castle burgers and my Emo's pizza, which is my favorite. And, you know, it was a great celebratory dinner.
Well, what's on the pizza? What are the toppings?
Sausage, bacon, and jalapenos.
Damn, that is an interesting.
I will have one for you, my next fight.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know, it's interesting. This year, one of the big stories, of course, Nate Diaz and his rise to prominence and the big fights and all that stuff. And the interesting sort of footnote to it all is that, you know, it kind of all kicked off with your fight and him going on the mic. And you had to hear that, I'm sure, over and over again, that promo of him talking about Conor and all that stuff. How much did that piss you off, just being a part of that, but you're sort of the forgotten figure because he's doing it after he beat you?
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't really piss me off. It just rubbed me the wrong way because I felt like a stepping stone. You know, I was like, shit. I was like, he just beat me, and now he's fighting for this amount of money. He's getting all this fame now. But Nate's been around for a while, man. He's one of the veterans of the sport, and he deserves everything he's getting right now. You know, my hat's off to him. And it's good to see these guys succeed the way they are. Now, with that being said, I want my rematch. You know, I want my money. I want these big money fights. And, you know, I'm here to show the world that I'm not to be joked around with in this division.
So when you heard about how much he made for those two fights, what was your reaction?
I was happy for him. I was a little pissed off because I felt like it was just I lost focus in our fight, and that almost feels like, man, that could have been me. That should have been me in that fight making that amount of money, and who knows what would happened to my life and my career right now. So, you know, that's one of the things that I always said leading up into this fight, that everybody gets their turn. Everybody gets their chance to shine. It's just when it's my turn, you know, I'm going to do more than shock the world. I'm going to crush it. And, you know, I think I'm on a pretty good path for that right now.
In hindsight, what went wrong that night against Nate? Because that's not the same fighter that we saw on Saturday. It just seemed like you can never get going. Why do you think that is?
You know, I lost focus a little bit, and Nate was long. I didn't expect him to be that long, you know, and I always say I didn't expect him to come in to that fight in that great of shape and that ready to fight. You know, I underestimated him a little bit, and that's a huge mistake on my part. And it never happened again, but you know, like I said, he's one of the best in the world for a reason. And, you know, I was just off a little bit that night, but we're doing everything we can to do to not let that happen again. And it's important that I stay focused through my whole fight and through my whole training camp.
Saturday was your first victory since February of 2015. And I know the Dariush fight was somewhat controversial, and I think I know that you thought you won the fight, but just to get that victory again, that feeling of being called the victor and having your hand raised, what did it feel like?
It felt great, man. It felt being on top of the world, and especially seeing my teammate and friend Chad Skelly pull out that submission, and then see the co-main event get a win like that, and I just felt like. I looked at my corner. I told him, I was like, listen, we're ready to go now. I was like, these guys are getting big wins. Now it's my turn to go out here and put a stamp on this night and get a great win. So it felt amazing, man. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, this is the feeling that I need to continue in this sport. This is why I do this, to have this feeling.
Yeah.
And it just keeps me going. Yeah.
Kind of like a drug, right? In a way like that, you keep searching for that high.
Absolutely. It is like a drug, and I'm addicted 100%. And no, I do not need to go to rehab classes or anything like that. Like this is a drug that I'm okay with this addiction. I'm addicted to progressing and getting better every day and seeing what my future holds. So
how does Michael Johnson get on track and be consistent? You had that 4-fight winning streak, and then the Dariush fight snapped it, and then of course the Nate Diaz fight. But how does Michael Johnson go on like a 5, 6, 7 fight winning streak to get the title shot, to get what you are searching for, the big money fights? What needs to be done and what needs to be changed before the fight in order to get that, in your opinion?
It's me not thinking I'm better than what I am. It's me realizing the things I need to work on and the things I need to get better at, and it's me just staying focused. I think a big mistake that Dustin made in this fight was he made a statement that said he feels untouchable. I learned that the hard way. I felt untouchable at one point in my career. Miles Jury beat my ass for 3 rounds. And, I would never resort to feeling untouchable again. So as long as I'm staying focused, staying on point, having great training camps, taking care of my body. Like I said, these surgeries were huge, but I got them all fixed and I'm healthy now, and I just feel great. And that feels good for me to go into a camp being healthy. I haven't had a healthy camp in 2 years.
Wow.
And I was just excited. To show up to the gym. I was excited to train, to get beat up, to beat some people up, and have a great performance.
And like when you see the rest of the lightweight division, and it seems like all of a sudden everyone, what would we have? Anthony Pettis. Who else called you out? I feel like I saw like 3-4 people call you out.
Will Brooks said something.
Yeah, what was up with that? Will Brooks was really coming at you. Is he pissed at you or something?
I know, right? I mean, he has every right to be. That was his teammate, and he might have felt a little disrespected. But hey, Will might want to worry about his fight he's got coming up before he loses focus on that. I think he's got something more important to worry about.
Okay, so which of the options out there do you like best for you next?
Like I said, I want the big fights. I want a fight that's going to set me up to fight for the title here pretty soon. So whether it be Khabib, if he's not fighting for the title, if Nate decides that he wants to fight before his Connor's trilogy, I'd love to get my rematch with him, and just anybody else at the top of the division. And if none of those top guys want to fight, then hey, I'm available to fight. I just fought. I'm healthy. I'm good, and it's all about making some money right now. So.
Yeah, and even Anthony Pettis, who dropped down to 145, seemed to be interested in you.
Yeah, which is funny. I like Pettis. I got nothing against him, but it's so funny. I called him out not too long ago. He went to 45, and now all of a sudden he's calling me out. So I don't know. I'm definitely not going to 45 right now, but I would fight him, no problem. No problem at all. He's a former champ. He's a great competitor, and that would be a huge win under my belt.
It's amazing how, you're kind of out and you're out of sight, out of mind, and then all of a sudden you get this big win and you're the belle of the ball and everyone wants to fight you and everyone calls you out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so weird. That's one of the crazy things about this sport is all it takes is one big fight, and that's it. All it takes is one big punch or anything like that, and it will just change the dynamic of everything. And I think I shook up this division pretty good Saturday night, and I definitely got a lot of eyes open.
And now you feel like you can exhale a little bit. You can rest a little easier now that you got some money and that you're back on track.
Yeah, and that's the important part, man. I can rest and not have to stress about little money problems. and I can just focus on what's important, and that's training and getting better, and building for my future, man. So it feels great. I'm in a great place, in a great state of mind. I'm ready to continue the success.
All right. Well, I wish you continued success. Great to have you on the show, Michael. Congratulations. And thanks for squeezing us in. I know you're at the airport now about to go back home. So thank you for squeezing us in before you board that flight. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I definitely don't stay away so much next time.
I won't.
Keep in contact.
I will for sure. All the best to you, Michael.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. There he is, Michael Johnson. Big win for him on Saturday night against Dustin Poirier. And wow, what a difference a few months make for Michael Johnson as he knocks out Poirier on Saturday, coming off that loss to Nate Diaz in December, sort of a forgotten figure in that lightweight division. And then boom, reappears in Hidalgo, Texas on FS1. And now everyone's talking about him again. Now everyone wants to fight him. Interesting stuff. Okay, let us move along now. Very, very, very excited to talk to our next guest. Why? Well, he may not be a household name here in North America just yet, but if you're a mixed martial arts fan from across the pond, by now you have surely heard of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. He is the Cage Warriors featherweight champion. He is coming off a very impressive, also 95-second win last weekend, not this past Saturday before, in which he won the Cage Warriors featherweight champion. And ever since he won that fight, and if I'm being honest, starting a few months back, I have been terrorized by fans of his on Twitter to tell me, you better get Paddy the Baddy on the show. Every time I tweet about this show, every time I tweet anything, when are you going to get Paddy the Baddy on the show? And if I'm being honest, and I know he doesn't love the comparisons, the last time this happened to this degree about a fighter who wasn't in the UFC was Conor McGregor 3.5 years ago. I swear it was reminiscent. And so I said, I got to get Paddy the Baddy on the show. So now let us go to the magic of Skype and welcome in Liverpool's own Paddy Pimblett. How are you, my friend? Thank you for coming on.
How are you, Ariel? It's my pleasure. Don't worry about it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. What is life like for you since winning the belt in Liverpool, no less? Getting that amazing ovation, you're celebrating everywhere. What has life been like for you since that fight?
Well, it was brilliant, you know what I mean? I got to become a world champion in front of all my home fans, everyone who's believed in me all the way. It was amazing, to be honest. The atmosphere there was unbelievable, and even now when I'm walking around the city or I'm doing anything, I keep getting mobbed and asked for photos and stuff like that. It's unbelievable, to be honest.
Do you like getting noticed? Do you like being a local celebrity?
I don't mind, know what I mean? Like I've said it before, I'm only 21 and it's crazy, but I'll never turn a photo down with anyone. I know I've got like another 20, 30 years to be getting photos with people, so I need to get used to it.
Okay, so now here's the fascinating thing. As you mentioned, you're only 21 years old, yet you seem to have this amazing connection with your fans. They are supporting you. Like I said, they're hounding me to get you on the show. They're hounding the UFC to sign you. Why do you think that there's this connection so early on in your career?
I don't know, to be honest. It's just I'm likable. I think that's what it is. I'm a nice guy, know what I mean? I get called the baddie, but I'm just a nice guy, to be honest. All my fans believe in me because I do it for them, know what I mean? And I believe in them. They give me even more belief when I'm training and when I'm fighting. Like the other night on last Saturday, no one could have beat me. You could have put anyone in that cage with me, and no one could have stopped me from getting that win. There was no way.
What does the baddie mean?
I don't know. It hasn't really got a meaning. My coach, Paul Rimmer, just gave me it. On my fourth amateur fight, my coach, one of the announcers, come back and said, what's your nickname? And I just told him I haven't got one. And then my coach said, no, his name's Paddy the Baddy. And then ever since then, it's just stuck with me.
Okay, so you made your amateur debut around 5 years ago, your pro debut around 4 years ago, and so that's 16, 17 years old. Why did you get into MMA fighting so young? Did you not want to go to school, have a job, do something like you knew right away that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, when I first started training when I was 15, and I'd just turned 15, and like, it's mad, as soon as I come in and as soon as I'd done some jiu-jitsu and some stuff like that, I just knew that it was what I was meant to do, to be honest. I just knew. I don't know why, but I just knew it was what I was meant to do. I was half good in school, like academically. I knew what I was doing with everything, but it never like pulled me in or dragged me towards it. As soon as I'd done some MMA, it just made me want to do it more and made me want to go to the gym every day and learn new stuff.
How did you end up at this school, to learn jiu-jitsu? Like, were you a big MMA fan? Did you watch the UFC on television? How did you end up there?
To be honest, the first UFC that I watched I seen it on the UFC actually today. It was 6 years ago today, the fight, or 7 years ago today. Rich Franklin versus Vitor Belfort when Belfort knocked him out in the first.
Yep.
And I enjoyed it that much that I went for a jog after it at 5:30 in the morning over here. And from then on, I just wanted to do it. And then I went to the gym and I just caught on to everything straight away. It's like I've always been competitive at everything I do. So it's just something like it proper pulled me in. It made me want to fight.
That's right. UFC 103 in Texas. Rich Franklin.
Yeah, 103 it was.
And as you mentioned, that's like 5 a.m. where you live in England. How did you end up, if you have no knowledge of the UFC, you're not a fan of the UFC, how do you end up watching that show at such a crazy time?
One of my friends told me about it in school. The lad that I grew up with, he just said to me one day, I think it was UFC 199, Wanderlei versus Franklin.
Yeah.
He watched that and I can remember him showing me clips of it and stuff like that. And then someone else showed me UFC 100. And then I just decided to watch it that night because I was up.
Wow.
And from then on, that was it. It got me.
And when you told your parents that this is what you want to do, what did they say?
Well, at first it was just training, it was just a hobby. And then when I left school, my mum made me join college and like go to sixth form and carry on learning. But I found a college what was close to the gym so that I could still go to the gym every day. I was skipping some classes so that I could go to the gym of a morning and spar and stuff like that. And then in the end, I ended up just leaving that after a year. And then my mum was like, my dad wasn't so much on my case, but my mum was, you need to get a job, you need to get something that you can learn from, you can't earn from that. And I can remember just telling her, no mum, I am going to learn from it, don't worry, when I go pro, everything will be sound. And up until I was like 3-0 pro, she was still saying the same thing. And then I got signed by Cage Warriors and everything just changed, know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you making good money now?
It's all right money, but I've got an announcement coming soon over the next few days what everyone will be interested in, because I've signed something with a certain organisation. I can't say just yet, but I'm going to be getting great money and it's in my best interests and I just can't wait to move forward.
Well, I've seen online that you have some big news. Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah. There's a big contract news coming up. I've signed with an organisation, but I just can't say who yet.
Does the name of this organization rhyme with Blue Deaf Tea?
I can't say. I can't say just yet.
Okay, was your goal, Paddy, to get the Cage Warriors title, which has propelled a lot of fighters into the UFC? Okay, let me get this belt, and then I'll get that push that I need to finally get in there. Did you feel like you needed to win the belt in order to get that attention?
No, to be honest. I think I've had more attention than any of the former Cage Warriors champions, even without the belt. I've had any more attention than any of them. The fight wasn't originally scheduled to be for the belt until Alex Enlund got signed. So I didn't really think I needed the belt, but I'm glad I've got that gold around my waist. It's a nice feeling. And you never know, I could be defending the Cage Warriors belt.
Oh,
no one knows just yet.
Whatever this deal is it signed, sealed? Is it done? Whatever, and you're just waiting for the announcement?
Yeah, all sorted.
Well, there's no better time than now. The floor is yours. Why don't you tell the world?
I can't just yet. You're not gonna get it out of me, Ariel. Don't worry about that. Locked up.
All right, fair enough. I know you're often asked about Conor. And the comparisons, they're right there, the same division, same organization and whatnot. I even said that, people, the last time they were bugging me this much to have someone outside of the UFC on the show was Conor. How do you feel when you are, considering what he's done in the UFC, how do you feel when you are compared to him?
Obviously, it's great because people see how good he is and they see that I can become that good. But at the same time, I don't like it because I am my own man. No one showed me no route to do this. Even when I was 17, 18, I was telling people that I'm going to be 2-weight world champion in the UFC anyway. And like the comparisons to him are nice at the same time, but they're horrible at the same time. It does me head in because I'm me. Know what I mean? I'm not Conor McGregor. I'm not no MMA. I'm like no MMA fighter you've ever seen. He said he was here to take over. Well, I'm here to conquer.
So when you say that, unlike any other fighter that we've ever seen, I mean, why is that? Explain why you're unlike anyone.
Have you seen these pretty boy good looks? Hey, have you seen these?
Yes.
And what happens in the cage? You just don't see what happens in the cage apart from when I'm in there. I do stuff in there that no one else can do, know what I mean? I'm an entertainer. I put a show on for my fans.
Do you feel like there's not...
On and off the microphone as well.
Right. Do you feel like there's not enough of that in MMA, that people don't understand the entertainment aspect of it and sometimes are boring on the microphone, don't sell themselves enough?
Yeah, know what I mean? You've got to be yourself in there. So too many fighters go in there and put an act on and try and be someone that they're not. And I hate that personally, you know what I mean? You just go in there and be yourself.
Yeah.
You go in there and be yourself, everyone.
I think someone is calling Paddy right now. This usually happens when someone calls someone on Skype when they are on Skype. Oh, there he is.
What's happened there?
Yeah, did someone call you? You're back.
Yeah, someone rang me.
A little glitch.
Oh, good.
Are you familiar with a guy by the name of Kerry Von Erich?
No, not off the top of my head, no.
Kerry Von Erich, I want you to Google this man afterwards, was a legendary pro wrestler, and he had hair just like yours, and he was known as the Texas Tornado. He was an amazing wrestler, and he would get on the mic, and he was very excited, and you remind me a lot of Kerry Von Erich, and that is a great compliment. He is no longer with us, but you are kind of like with the hair, the shaggy hair. You remind me, a different accent, of course, but you are Kerry Von Erich when I look at you. So I'm wondering, did you grow up a pro wrestling fan? And is that where you got kind of your style of talking on the microphone and all that?
To be honest, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up watching wrestling. My favourite wrestler was Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
All right.
So, yeah, and I know what you mean there. It could have come from that subconsciously. It could be from me days when I was like 8 and 9, staying up till late to watch that and not staying up late to watch a UFC. It could be something to do with that.
Yeah, and Shawn Michaels was known as the showstopper, and he had a flair for the dramatic, so that's where you get some of it, right?
Yeah, defo.
Defo, I like that. What about the Sakuraba shorts that you were wearing in your fight last weekend? Why did you do that?
Well, I'm sponsored by Scramble brand, and they sent me a few pairs of shorts before my fight, and I'd wore their purple ones previously, and the orange ones came, and I just like the look of them. They look boss. They make you stand out as well. Know what I mean? Orange and white, and I'm a bit loose, just like Sakuraba was. So it was a nice fit, to be honest.
And from what I understand, the knock on you was that maybe you didn't have enough knockout power. Did you feel like you wanted to put that statement on? That statement victory, say, look, you could talk about my ground game, but I will knock you out as well. Was that a conscious decision and effort on your part?
Yeah, I'll be honest. For a few fights, I've wanted to show me striking a lot more. In the fight with Ashley Grimshaw, I wanted to show me striking a lot more because he was more of a grappler. But when I ended up on the ground with him, it was just so easy to keep control of him on the ground. I thought I'm not standing up with him because anyone can catch anyone with a big overhand right, and anyone can knock anyone out. So I just grappled, and then the same happened with Teddy Violet. It was so easy when I got on the floor, but last Saturday I didn't even get a chance to go on the floor with him. I done the sloppiest takedown that I've ever done in my life, and it was shaking my head. I wasn't happy with myself, and then stood up, and the first punch what landed after it put him down. So I think it was because I was a bit pissed off with myself before it that I landed that one even sweeter.
And then you celebrate by jumping into the crowd. Who were those people that you celebrated with? Were they just random people?
They're all my mates, and I know other random people as well, know what I mean? I jumped over the cage at first to celebrate with my team because that's something we've been working towards for like 7 years. And Adam and Ellis and Paul, who jumped on me head coach, and like two of my best mates, and then I can remember seeing my other mates over the other side, and like I thought the whole arena's going nuts. I'm going to have to jump over and celebrate with them because I am one of them. We're all the same. I'm cut from the same cloth as all these people. So I just jumped over and got in there with them.
The shot of you sitting on top of the cage with your arms crossed is a classic shot. You're just kind of loving it all, right? Well, what are you thinking in that moment?
Yeah. I was just thinking, wow, I'm basking in the glory here.
Yeah.
That was when I just got back in the cage. I just climbed back up onto the cage and I looked up and I looked round at everyone and I could just see every single person that was there up on the feet, and I just thought, yeah, everyone's here for me. This is amazing. Gonna have to let them know how happy I am, and just done a little pose for them, sat on the cage.
Fair to say that was the greatest moment of your life? Short life, young life, but was that it?
Yeah, like you say, I'm only 21. I'm going to have a lot more bigger and better moments than that. I know I am when I lift that UFC title and stuff like that. But for now, that's the biggest and best moment of my life.
And when you were preparing for your MMA journey, when you were starting out at a young age, did you think at 21 all of this would be happening to you this soon?
Yeah, I know I'm on a path of greatness. I know where I'm headed. I know everything. You know what I mean? I've envisioned all this in my future. I knew that I was going to get this far at a young age. To be honest, I already thought I'd be in the UFC by now.
Huh.
I should be, but, you know.
What took so long?
I know what takes so long. What's happened here? The videos went off again.
Oh, yeah.
So long, they should have already been on me, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so if your next fight, do you think it will be at 145 or 155?
145 probably.
Okay. How's the weight cut for you?
I'm the champ now, aren't I?
Yeah, that's right. But if you go to another organization, you might have to, give up the title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's on your hit list in the UFC?
All of them.
Anyone in particular?
Doesn't matter who they are.
What?
All of them. Every 145/155 that's got anything to say, they'll get dealt with.
What's the dream scenario for your debut? Do you have it? A venue, a city, an opponent?
No, to be honest, I don't. Like I've said, it doesn't matter who it is, where it is, when it is. The only thing I know is I'm coming out the winner.
Okay. And what about? I've seen you go back and forth with some of the McGregor fans on Twitter. Is it suffocating? Are they coming at you a little strong these days?
Nah, I enjoy it. Know what I mean? They're all right. They come in and try and have a little go, but I just talk back to them. It doesn't bother me. They can say whatever they want. I'm the one who's world champ now, and I'm the one who's going to UFC. They're not.
If UFC goes back to Liverpool with you, how big of a deal can that be?
That'll be the biggest show the UK's ever seen.
Biggest show.
You'll have never seen an atmosphere like it. I spoke to a few people about the other night, and a lot of them have said they've never been to a show like it. They've never experienced nothing like that. I spoke to someone there who works in the MMA world, and they said to me the only time that they've ever been in an atmosphere anything like that was when Vitor Belfort beat Luke Rockhold in Brazil. And he said that was a better atmosphere than Brazil. He said he's never seen nothing like that.
Wow. How did you celebrate?
Went out on the town, had a few ales with my mates, a few beers. Yeah.
I bet they're all coming out of the woodwork now, huh? Everyone wants a piece of the baddies.
Yeah, there's all sorts of people jumping on the baddie bandwagon now.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. It's great, know what I mean? It's the people who didn't believe in me at first and now are jumping on the bandwagon. I don't like them, know what I mean? Some people are jumping on now. But the people who've always believed in me, I love them, know what I mean? I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for all those people who believe in me and all my fans.
When can we expect you to fight again?
Before the end of the year.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
You know, I like to stay out, but I don't like to sit out. And like I said, I'm only 21, so I'm fit as a fiddle. I'm sound. I can jump back in there all the time. And just like you said, I won in 95 seconds last week, so no injuries, not a mark on me lovely face. So it's all day.
I love it. I wonder what you're doing November 19th, exactly 2 months from now in in Belfast. I wonder if you'll be available then.
I would be available, but we'll see what happens, won't we?
Well, Paddy, I wish you nothing but the best. It's been great to have you on the program. I mean, you're tough to penetrate, my friend. You're like a steel vault.
You know that from Liverpool, we don't open our mouths, we don't snitch on no one.
That's right. I've heard that about the Scousers, right? Is that how you pronounce it? The Scousers?
Yeah, Scousers.
What's the difference? What's the difference between Scouser and Liverpudlian?
Nothing. They're both the same.
Oh, okay.
They're both Liverpool, yeah.
Are you a big LFC fan?
Yeah, of course.
Till you
like
die.
You see it after back the other day, I got the whole arena to sing Justice for the 96.
Yeah.
That's for the 96 Liverpool fans that
explain.
We lost their lives.
Explain what happened there.
Well, there was a disaster like 25, 26 years ago now in 1989 at a football stadium. They let too many people in, and 96 of my fans, Liverpool fans, got crushed and lost their lives, and other people got injured. And ever since then, we've been ridiculed over it because some newspapers put out that Liverpool fans were robbing off their own dead, taking rings off fingers, not helping each other, urinating on police officers that were trying to help people and that. And it was just a newspaper called The Sun lying through its teeth. And we've been ridiculed for 25 years over that. So I'm not going to let people forget that, know what I mean? I'm a Liverpool fan through and through, and I'm a Scouser through and through, and I'll never forget them 96 people who lost their lives, and I'll never forgive the Sun for posting bad stuff about my people.
Well, they are certainly proud to call you their own. Congrats on all your success, even though it's been a pretty short run for you thus far, and you have our attention, my friend. You have our attention across the pond. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you and what this big news is, and having you back on the show to talk about this big news. So
Yeah, I can't wait to come back on the show. I've got another 15 years left in me, Ariel. I'll be on this a good few times over the next few years.
All right. Well, I look forward to that. All the best to you. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks very much. See you again soon.
All right. There he is. Paddy the Paddy Pimblett. Remember the name. It sounds like he has some big news for all of us. And I think he may have, if you were listening closely, I think he may have ever so slightly let the cat out of the bag, but we'll let him off on that one. He is a young man. He is 21 years old. He is very excited about his future, and who can blame him? Everyone. And I do not overstate this. It is very reminiscent. Now, I'm not comparing the two. Certainly different fighters, different personalities, but you can see there are some comparisons there in terms of representing a nation, getting fans behind them, unique styles, and for me, very much deja vu all over again as far as the requests and the demands to have Paddy Pimblett on the show. So very, very happy that he was able to come on. It was a lot of fun to talk to him, and I look forward now to hearing this news. What is he talking about? I wonder. That was fun. Mr. New York Rick, are you there?
I'm here, sir.
There's a lot going on, Mr. New York Rick. What do you think of young Paddy, the Paddy Pimblett?
He's got the goods.
He's got
I think.
What do you think his big news is?
I mean, one can only wonder.
Yeah, I know. I mean, part of me kind of wishes that he told me about this pending big news that we had him on after, but I feel like...
You know what? It's his news. Let him,
No, certainly, but I'd love to react to the news, but I get it.
Oh, 21 years old. It'll...
He'll figure it out.
But no, he's definitely got the goods. After I called him, he tweeted out something about the time swap, and he's just a good he's a funny personality and a good
What, was
character.
he giving you crap?
No, not me. No, he was awesome.
Oh, okay.
Actually. He was super accommodating and incredible, and took it like a champ. He was just tweeting Michael Johnson needs to get his times straight on Twitter.
Already talking smack, huh?
Yeah, maybe that's one that he can match up with.
Now, to be fair, that was our doing. It wasn't Michael Johnson's doing.
Yeah.
I know Michael Johnson had to get on a plane, so we wanted to accommodate him. But all is well that ends well, and I do remind you that Derek Brunson is coming up at around 4:10.
That's correct.
To talk about his big win over Uriah Hall. So there's a lot going on. Wow. Unbelievable. Shall we get to the questions now? What do we got? Anything good?
We could get to the questions. Anything you want to just bring up before we do that, like spitball?
I want to see what the people are thinking about, because I got a few things on my mind.
Oh. Okay.
But I want to see if we're on the same page with the people. So let's see what
I have a feeling not.
Interesting. Wow.
I feel like you're gonna have to pull some out today. So, Michael Johnson, he explained the situation between himself and Dustin, I think, pretty well. He went through it from start to finish and accounted for everything. Did you have a problem with his post-fight celebration? People were saying on Sportsman, like almost unanimously, everybody was disappointed in that. How did you feel about that?
Look, I think sometimes we forget that there's a lot of emotion involved, that these guys are in a cage, that there's a door locked behind them, that there's a lot of adrenaline. Two alpha males, they're talking at the weigh-ins, they're going back and forth, fingers are being pointed in each other's faces. And I think we forget that when it reaches a crescendo like that and you realize what you have been working on, accomplishing for the last 3-4 months, which is knocking this guy's head off, so to speak, there's going to be some emotion. And of course, other people react to it differently. Some are able to, like Mark Hunt, knock the guy's head off and walk away, and others are going to let it out. And when you hear what Michael Johnson has been dealing with as of late, you kind of get it. Now, I will say, and I use the word bother lightly, but if I had to pick one thing that I liked less than the other, it would be the extra shots. You know what I'm saying? The extra shots is what bothers me more than the words.
So you thought the stoppage came a little late?
Slightly late, yeah.
I didn't necessarily feel that way. I thought they were academic for sure, but I think the ref wasn't stepping into the point. I don't think he landed anything that felt borderline. I felt when the ref came in, he was done. Now, Dustin was likely unconscious at that point. He gave him a really, really sharp combination. But I didn't have a problem with that. And to be honest, when the adrenaline's going, like you said, the actual, pointing and that type of thing is poor sportsmanship. But I understand, I get the place it's coming from. There was so much built up to that. The weigh-ins, there was so much tension there. And then if we're going to dog him for that, we have to give him all the credit in the world for when that adrenaline dies down, he apologized. He didn't, shy away from it or double down. He went to Dustin directly and apologized for it, and cooler heads did prevail. So, I think all's well that ends well. Certainly they're not going to be breaking bread together. But I don't have as much of a problem with it as most seem to.
Unless it's like completely unsportsmanlike, egregious, like you're trying to soccer kick the guy or do something illegal.
Yeah.
I try to give fighters, especially those that don't have a history of this sort of thing. Michael Johnson doesn't have a history of this sort of thing. You try to give him a pass in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, the heat of the moment got to him. But afterwards, he apologized, and
he did. But it's interesting to hear him say that he doesn't regret it.
No, I mean, you have to kind of understand it. Dustin's the one that did push his head at the weigh-ins, so I kind of get it. At the same time, it's not sportsmanlike for sure.
And you certainly feel for Dustin. I mean, this is the second time that he has main evented a UFC show, and he's climbing the ranks as he was against the Korean Zombie back in 2012, and for the second time, he stumbles in a big way.
Yeah. But that does show that he can get back here, and that he has to rebuild and do it again.
Yeah.
And I think he's perfectly capable of that. But
still a young guy for sure.
I mean, let's not take the shine away from Michael Johnson, because that was bonkers. That knockout was, vicious. And he's talked about, I forget, I believe it was Stan on the commentary or Anik, I forget who said it, but somebody was talking about how Johnson had said he believes he had the fastest hands in a lightweight division. And after that, it's hard to disagree.
Literally, if you blink, you miss the entire exchange.
He put it on. And, Dustin missed that uppercut, and that was it.
Yeah.
But incredible performance. And also, I think Dustin will be back. This is his first loss at 55, right? Since coming back up.
You have a soft spot in your heart for Dustin.
I do. I'm wearing the Fightville shirt right now.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. That is a great documentary.
Incredible.
Because you do kind of look like each other, right?
Not anymore. Come on.
Well, not anymore with the hair.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just curious about the shaving of the sides. Like why, when do we determine that it's good to shave, not good to shave? Because if I'm being honest, I don't hate the hair. I like it when the sides are longer.
Nah, I like it when the sides are shorter.
You do? You feel more aerodynamic?
Yeah, it just feels heavy, you know.
Cleaner?
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
How long does that take?
What do you mean? To get a haircut? How long does it take?
No, just to clean, because you're not touching the top, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
No, I'm not.
When's the last time you trimmed the top?
It's been years now.
Years. Literally years.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4?
I think like we're going over 2 years now.
Wow. And what about the sides? How long do you wait in between?
Depends on travel and laziness and all that stuff. I don't. I've been getting haircuts on the road a little bit when I travel for events with Invicta and Glory and all that stuff.
That's tough, man.
Not good.
I don't
to
like
get
that.
the road haircut.
I hate the road haircut. I've actually never done the road haircut, if I'm being honest. I have been
smart not to.
Let me tell you this. I have been in search for one reason or the other. I don't want to get into that, but I had a barber that is the man, but I don't live near him anymore. This guy's Manny the barber, crew barber, and I go every week. And to me, it's like a bond that you have with your barber. The comfort in knowing that you can sit down and just let him do his thing. You don't have to explain to him. You don't have to worry. Is an unbelievable load off your shoulders. It's a great comfort. And so I had that for years. And then we parted ways. Sometimes I even make the drive, but it's just too far. So I've been searching for quite some time, and I thought I found someone, and it was going great. And then she changed. She made her off day on my day, and now I can't go anymore. So now I have to search.
Mean? You can't change your day?
I only got one day.
Oh, get out of here!
There's only one day. Every Tuesday is my day.
You gotta work. You gotta work with them.
I can.
Make
I travel. You know, I do things. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. It's actually depressing me that I now have to find someone else and go through this, because I finally found someone. She was fantastic, and she left me hanging. And we were together for 4 months.
This is a relationship, Ariel. You're trying to take. You got to give a little bit.
It's so
maybe
depressing.
It's Wednesday is your day now.
No, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, her new off days. I mean, who takes 3 days off for God's sake?
That's a little absurd.
I mean, come on.
But maybe you bring her in, privately. Maybe you
privately.
Say, come over to
I think Luke Thomas, by the way, does private.
There you go.
Haircuts.
What about beard grooming? Private? Or does Luke? You know what? Maybe
Luke does the whole thing private.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I like to go. I like the experience.
Oh, you're a man of the people.
I'm not above the whole experience of going to the barber.
You.
Plus, I don't want all my hair all over my house. Then I'll do it myself. It's a mess. Anyway, if anyone wants to offer
New Jersey
their services,
barbers, New York barbers,
and a lot of people say to me, your hair is just so easy. Very, 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 very incorrect. It looks easy if you gloss over it,
well,
it's a tough thing to
It's not
blend.
about the haircut itself. It's about the experience,
That's
the
true.
comfort. You're in good hands. They're not going to push your hairline up this way or do that. It's a whole thing.
A little hot towel would be nice.
Yeah. Get into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Derek Brunson. He's
Yes.
coming on next.
Yes.
4 first-round finishes in a row.
Yes.
What's next for him?
And one somewhat controversial fight against Yoel Romero, which he talks about quite often, and I'm sure we'll get into that. Wow. Derek Brunson turning into quite the finisher.
Absolutely.
Remember when he came into the UFC, he was kind of known as this wrestler, and he was a grinder, right? But he has turned into a finisher. What an amazing revelation this has been. Who is next for him?
Is he in the wrong division right now? It seems like there's so many guys in line.
Where is he?
At this point.
He's not even in the top 15? There he is. He's top 10.
Yeah.
He's number 10. Well, Mousasi? I know Mousasi's fighting Vitor Belfort, but the winner of that fight, I mean, the timing certainly works out. Of course, there's Anderson Silva out there, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, Robert Whitaker is still number 7.
That's a good what? Man, Whitaker hasn't fought in a minute, huh?
Yeah, he hasn't fought in a minute. There were some rumblings about Whitaker versus Anderson Silva, but I looked into that, and there's nothing to it at the moment.
Brunson Whitaker would be fun.
Brunson versus the winner of Mousasi Belfort. I feel like something like that. I'm kind of surprised that Belfort is still number 5 in that division.
And then after that, I feel like it's 1 away, 2 away from the shot.
Yeah. So he's getting there.
Been super impressive lately.
Yeah.
Uriah Hall on the other side of the coin.
Yes, I'm surprised. Where's the Chael Sonnen talk? What's going on here?
You know what?
I'm kind of itching. No one talked about Chael. I don't believe it.
Let's get through this.
Okay.
Uriah Hall.
Yes.
Will we ever see his true potential in the UFC?
I mean, I feel like
is this his true potential?
Yeah, he is who he is.
I feel like there's people who think that we're just not seeing the Uriah Hall that we saw in Tough, or is this the guy that we're seeing?
Is it possible is it possible that he was overhyped? I don't know. But, I mean, let's not forget who he was being compared to.
But then you see him do the things that he does to
Yeah.
Gegard Mousasi, and it
Yeah.
makes people think that they're not seeing everything that he has.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder. I mean, it's hard to say. That was super impressive. I kind of feel like he is who he is at this point. I mean, sometimes he'll win with the best of them. He'll lose with the best of them. He is a very, very good fighter. He's a top 10 fighter. Will he ever be champion? Look, at this point, this game is so wacky that, a guy will lose 2 in a row. I mean, look, who would have ever expected what Robbie Lawler did? So, and I haven't really seen this, but anyone who's trying to like end the book on Uriah Hall or saying he's done or whatever, I mean, that is obviously very premature, but maybe he caught Derek Brunson at a bad time. Derek Brunson is going up like this. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. So, I don't think it's, any indictment on him. I just think that, Brunson was the better fighter that day, as cliche as that sounds. Now, let me ask you about Chael Sonnen here.
Sure, hit me.
What was your reaction when you heard that Sonnen was leaving the UFC and signing with Bellator?
I was shocked.
Shocking.
Because nobody's been more of the company guy than Chael over the years. He's always been the UFC guy, promoting that they're the best organization around and being the face of it for quite some time. But even when he was not a UFC fighter, at least provisionally, at least while he was suspended, he was still the UFC guy. He was still always touting the UFC. So it is a bit weird to imagine him on the other side with Bellator. But at the same time, I feel like who's a more perfect Bellator fighter than Chael Sonnen?
He is such an important signing for them. Now, I will say this, and I think it was actually Luke who mentioned this on Twitter. I'm not sure if he's bigger than a Kimbo Slice. I mean, Kimbo Slice really, truly moves that needle, and it remains to be seen.
I don't think so. Kimbo is bigger.
Yeah, and he was an icon. That being said, Chael does much more than fight for Bellator. Scott Coker is a brilliant mind when it comes to putting fights together, building organizations. We've seen him do it once with Strikeforce, and he's in the process of doing it with Bellator, and I have the utmost respect and confidence that he can do it. He is not the best promoter in the traditional sense of the word. Chael Sonnen is that. He is a fantastic promoter. And on that conference call, in the span of around 25 minutes on Friday, he promoted a sort of ho-hum fight between Czech Congo and Tony Johnson 3 times. He found 3 opportunities to remind us that there was a live fight that evening in Texas, in Austin, Texas. That's what he brings to the table. So now you can use Chael Sonnen at all your media days, at all your fight weeks, even when he's not fighting, and people are going to want to interview him. He's going to stir the pot. He's going to create headlines. He's going to be controversial. He brings that to the table as well. He works for ESPN. He's still a commentator for World Series of Fighting. This is a very important signing for Bellator in that regard. I'm also just kind of surprised that the UFC parted ways, but if I'm being truly honest, he's not telling us the whole story. Obviously, he alluded to that. There is more to the story. And when he says quite carefully that I was not under contract with the UFC when I signed with Bellator, that's obvious. He had to not be under contract with the UFC when he signed with Bellator. You cannot be under contract with the UFC when you sign with someone else. That doesn't mean that they parted ways with some fights left on his contract. Now, what led to them parting ways, what led to them releasing him from his contract, we do not know. And I thought it was interesting to hear what he said about Dana White, because I was told last week that they parted ways amicably, but he sort of alluded to otherwise. He also said last week that heels lie, and he was just lying the whole time when he said that he was going to when he was going to retire this whole time. So, you gotta weed through all of that stuff. But above it all, regardless of what happened, regardless of what got us to this point, this is a very important signing for Bellator, and not just because of what he does in the cage, because what he brings to them as far as headlines and promotion is concerned as well.
I also think that you're going to get many more bites of the apple with Chael versus Akimbo, not only because of the stuff that he does, because he's such a good mouthpiece and that type of thing, but there's not many people you can match Kimbo up with. Let's be real about that. There was a select few. There was a very small pool of people you could match Kimbo up with at this point in his career. And now Chael Sonnen, on the other hand, there's been 15 names at least that have come out by the time the ink was dried on this. So there's so much possibility. There's so many options. He'll stay active. It's a great move, and nobody's more prototypically Bellator than Chael.
Can I say this though? Of all the options that have been laid out, Rampage, Fedor, which is sort of coming out of nowhere these days. Who else was there? Who else was Tito, but there was Rory. There was another one. Vanderlei, of course, but Vanderlei can't happen just yet. I mean, isn't it amazing that the Vanderlei fight could actually happen in Bellator of all places? But my point is, of all the options, even like a Liam McGeary or a King Mo, the one I'm least interested in is Tito Ortiz. I'm just kind of over it. I really am. Even like his reply on Twitter. I mean, I'm just kind of over it. I don't want to see it. It doesn't come across as genuine. It comes across as playing pro fighter at this point.
But I think it's the first step. I think it's the one that you get.
I have no doubt that it will do well. I have no doubt that it will get a solid rating. I have no doubt that I will watch it. It's of all the options, I'm just saying it's the one that interests me the least.
Well, that's the great part, because all those options are on the table even after the Tito Ortiz fight.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's going to be fun just because, objectively, Tito is not Chael Sonnen on the mic. Let's just say that.
No.
So that juxtaposition, those two playing off each other at press conferences, media days and that type of thing.
You think it'll be good?
Would make for good.
All right.
Good fodder. The fight itself, I mean, to be honest, we're talking about all these things. Are we even thinking about how Chael matches up with them from a fight perspective? I don't think I've heard one person actually talk about Chael Sonnen's fighting since he signed.
I mean, he hasn't won in quite some time.
This is all about him cutting promos on guys in the lead up to the fights. I don't think we've even considered the fact that after he does these promos, they're actually going to have to get in there and have a fight.
Well, I think Tito Ortiz is a good matchup for him.
Sure, but are the other guys, like, who even knows at this point? We've just completely glossed by that.
Yeah, that stuff's not important.
Yeah, that's the least important part, apparently.
Are you surprised UFC let him go?
Sure, but they're not. The last thing I would consider the UFC is dummies, and so
there's more to this story.
There's more to it, and Chael has already alluded to that. I'm sure more will come out soon.
What about this Cyborg story?
You mean that she had to cut so much weight?
That she still needs to cut all this weight.
I mean, this is a case where I'd be okay with them making it a catch weight fight week.
Oh my God. Fight week, yeah.
Well, I mean it's too late. Like the weight is contracted now. But
if they literally say let's fight at 155, no one in the world would care.
And it doesn't impact this because there's no division here. What is the point of fighting at 140 versus 155 versus 170? What is the difference?
Well, I take it back. If Lena Landsberg comes to Brazil, weighing, I don't know, 150. And then you could say, look, she's worked her ass off to get to this point. But I'm talking about like from when they signed the contract, when they signed the bout agreement.
I agree with you.
There is absolutely no reason at this point. It is borderline careless to make this woman continue to fight at 140. If they refuse to make her fight at 145, they need to get rid of her. They need to cut her. There's no point. And she needs to put her foot down. And maybe they were under, false illusions when they signed her way back when, but she can't do it. She just cannot do it. Why are we going through this? I actually reached out to George Lockhart while we were doing the show, and I tried to get him to actually come on and explain from his perspective the birth control thing, which I know nothing about. This is not my domain, and also just the state of affairs and how in the world he's going to get her down to 165. But he said he couldn't talk about it at this time. So that's that. I at first I asked him, is this problematic? And he said, you know me, brother. So look, his record speaks for itself. His resume speaks for hers. Yeah, but I mean, geez, come on.
There's times where both fighters are having a tough weight cut. They come in and say, "Hey, can we fight this at X weight?" One weight class.
It happened with Sam Stout and KJ Noons
very recently, and
in
so
Quebec City.
I wouldn't, no, I don't think anybody would be upset if that happened. But as you said, if Landsberg is coming in and she's a professional and, you know, she's on weight, it's hard to say no. And it gives her an advantage, to be quite frank, if you make Cyborg cut down and make the weight. So
the other thing is, I know Dana spoke to a Brazilian outlet this weekend and said, like, unless we find something that is going to, you know, blow things up, we're not going to do 145. And he kind of poo-pooed 125 at this point as well. I think Cris Cyborg is big enough for her own weight class. I think she's a big enough star. She can headline a show. She was getting a ton of press, more than anyone on that 198 card. She was in the New York Post the day of the show. I've talked about this. She can hold that division on her own. She can run with it. She could be the face of that division. I think there's a great amount of interest in her. She's speaking English now wonderfully. Yeah. She's a very good interview. I love having her on the show. She's very honest. I think her Twitter account needs a little bit of work, but that's a different story for a different day. Look, she's a star. She could be the face of that division. I still do not understand why they are so fixated on having her fight in this make-believe weight class. That means nothing. And then having her fight someone like Lena Landsberg, who no one knows. You're throwing her into the fire. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. This is one of the more baffling decisions in recent memory.
Speaking of not making sense, give a grade to the refereeing and judging on this fight night.
It was a little bizarre. My favorite part was when Dan Mergliotta, who I love,
lost his shoe,
had a hole in his sock. I mean,
what about the fact that he lost his shoe?
I mean, why do these things amuse us so much?
It's just funny. It's the old, you know, Johnson hit him so hard that the ref lost his shoe.
Yeah. I'm so tired of talking about that stuff. I'm almost a defeated man. What about Al Iaquinta?
Texas in particular.
Al Iaquinta. This is a depressing thing, to go to Al Iaquinta, who's been on the show time and again, and have him sit there in his polo in some real estate office on Long Island when he should be preparing for UFC 205 is a very depressing sight.
I'd almost go the opposite way, that it's not depressing. It's kind of like positive and inspiring that somebody's taking control of their
It is, but it shouldn't be this way.
No, it shouldn't be this way. But there are people who would just take the medicine and lay down and say, yeah, you know what, I'll fight at MSG for free so that after I build my name on that, I'll take the next one and then the next one and the next one. And Al is at this point saying, you know what, I've had enough of this. I'm making my stand here. It's you know, I understand where you're coming from, that, you know, this is not what we want to see, and it's depressing in that way that we're not going to get to see Al fight on a New York card, or at this point, not going to get to see Al fight on a New York card.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully we do. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. But you know, it's an important thing for somebody to kind of take a stand like this. So I see it as a positive.
I give him a lot of credit. It takes a lot of guts, especially given how important that card was for him. And let me tell you this, last week in particular, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who it's becoming this thing where everyone's having these come to Jesus moments where they're like, what am I doing? And it feels like it's directly related to the sale. And this is a battle, I mean, to a degree. I mean, the UFC is getting it from all angles, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there was a story about Joe Duffy that came out. I believe it was the 42.ie that wrote this story that he wants, you know, a better deal, and he has one fight left on his contract. You know, Chris Weidman has not agreed to his fight against Yoel Romero. Jeremy Stevens has not agreed to his fight against Frankie Edgar. I mean, go down the line. We are less than 2 months away from UFC 205. There is no main event. There's no main event. I mean, think about that. This is a show that has been, you know, worked on essentially for years. This is years in the making, literally. And there's no main event. I'm told that tickets go on sale next week. There's going to be a media day. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in New York. But as we sit here right now on this Monday afternoon, UFC 205 does not have a main event. Now, we know what they want. It's Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor. And to a degree, I think this is Conor reminding us all who has the leverage, who has the power. More power to him. He does. Anyone who thinks otherwise is just fooling themselves. But it is amazing to me that we have no main event less than 2 months away from UFC 205. And a lot of the fights, how about this? Not a single fight has been officially announced by the UFC. Not a single fight. It's fascinating what's going on. And I think some people get it confused. Like, I'm not trying to advocate for this. I'm just trying to bring light to what is going on in the sport right now. A lot of people ask me, why do you talk so much about the money? Why do you talk so much about the finances? This is why. Because almost every single fighter on the roster, and in all walks of life, we always want more money. But they're all having these conversations. Now, very few of them have the guts that Iaquinta does to come out and say it and to put his foot down. But I can assure you of this. Your favorite fighters are having these internal discussions, conflicts about what they signed up for. And the stakes have changed because of Reebok. You know what I mean? I mean, the stakes have changed because of Reebok, because of everyone getting smarter, because of the TV deal, because of the sale, because of USADA. The stakes have changed. And you know who's benefiting the most from all of this? Bellator. We're seeing that, right? Look at the year that they've had as far as signing people is concerned.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
Is this the biggest Bellator signing ever? Is Chael the biggest Bellator signing
I think
ever?
Kimbo is.
And what about Benson Henderson, who just went over, seemed to be in the prime of his career, just coming off a UFC win?
Given what he brings to the table, of the guys this year, this is the biggest one because he is such a popular figure. He's on ESPN. He's fought in those big fights. Yeah, but I don't know if anyone at this point can surpass what Kimbo, who had been removed from the game for 5 years, brought to the table. Remember that. Like, they weren't signing Kimbo right off the UFC. He was essentially, I mean, no one was talking about Kimbo for a very long time, showing up here and there doing some boxing. But it was it was pretty quiet on the Kimbo front. And then he returns, and then he just nailed it as far as the ratings are concerned. It was very impressive. How about Anastasia Yankova? Did you see her fight?
I did see that fight.
What did you think of it?
You know, back and forth.
Is it too much too soon for her?
No. But this seems to be a trend with Bellator where they're pushing these specific fighters, and then they go out and either lose or don't look as dominant as you would hope. That seems to happen quite a bit.
I mean, at first it looked like she was going to get knocked out.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I don't know what the answer is, but. Also, you have to give credit to the toughness. If you're going to say it looked like, she was going to get knocked out, then you also have to give credit for the fact that she didn't and hung in there. And
100%.
I thought 29-28 was fine either way. I saw quite a bit of people were outraged and saying, they can't believe that. But I thought either way, 29-28 was a fair score.
I thought that it was a fair score. I thought that she showed a ton of heart, a ton of resiliency. And I thought that perhaps most impressive of all was the fact that she was very honest in her post-fight interview. Like, she wasn't, she was actually disappointed and sort of alluded to the fact that she thought she was going to lose. They keep pushing this McFarland fight, and I thought that it wasn't the right time to do it. Now, Jimmy Smith said on Twitter that he was asked to do that, and I get it. It seems like they want to book this fight, as strange as these circumstances surrounding it are. But I didn't think that was the right call in that moment to start talking about someone else when she literally just got, her bell rung several times in the span of 15 minutes.
All right, sir, Mr. Helwani, we're going to flip the tables on you.
Okay, I had a couple other questions, but go ahead.
No, we're going to flip the tables here.
Yeah.
We're going to look ahead to this card.
Snap, swap, crap. That was a mix of snap and crap and whack.
Okay, I feel like this is an easy one.
Okay.
So you'll be able to navigate your way through it.
Okay.
Who is the favorite?
Yeah.
Lena Landsberg or Cyborg Santos?
I'll say that Cyborg is a plus.
You're already wrong there.
Excuse me.
Minus is the favorite.
Yes. See, this is how little I am. Minus 800.
Bigger. Minus 1250.
Wow.
I mean, she could be minus. I honestly think there might even be some value there at minus 1250, just because you could give me quite a bit worse odds on her, and I wouldn't give Landsberg a chance. Is it even worth it? Probably not. There's other ways to make the money there. Okay, Renan Barão, Felipe Nover.
How about this one, huh? Felipe Nover getting the big fight.
It's a huge fight.
And a very important one for Renan Barão as well. Minus 300, Renan Barão?
Minus 470.
Wow.
Plus 375 for Felipe. I like that you're taking a shot at the numbers. That's not bad so far.
Oh,
I
yeah. I mean, yeah. I can't just pick Cyborg.
Roy Nelson versus Bigfoot.
I can't believe that promo has it listed as Roy Nelson versus Bigfoot. I mean, this is one that, Bigfoot versus Big Country. I mean, I almost feel like they booked it just so that they can say that.
Yeah, like the cowboy versus cowboy.
Yeah. Bigfoot. But on the promo on television on Saturday, it was Roy Nelson versus Bigfoot. What? Roy Nelson minus 200.
Minus 450.
What?
I'm with you on that. Bigfoot hasn't looked great lately.
Yeah, he hasn't.
But I don't think Roy Nelson is that guy anymore where he's commanding a minus 450. I am a little surprised that he's as big a favorite as Renan Barão is. That's a little bit interesting, especially at heavyweight. Silva could get off one good shot. But clearly Roy Nelson deserves to be the favorite in this fight. Okay. A good one. Paul Felder, Francisco Trinaldo.
It's a pretty solid card.
It is. It's not bad.
Paul Felder minus 150.
So Trinaldo is actually the favorite here, minus 140, Felder plus 120. But I'd say that's about in the right area. Your number was also right in the right area. This is going to be a less than 2-1 favorite fight, and I think it's going to be good. I give the advantage to Trinaldo at this point, but he tends to fade later, so we'll see how that impacts the fight. But it's going to be close, and that's a fight I really, really like. Thiago Santos versus Eric Spicely.
Santos minus 250.
Santos minus 470.
Wow.
You talk about guys looking good lately. He's been incredible.
Although he lost to Mousasi.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Mousasi is
short notice.
One of the top
guys
in that class, and he's Santos has gotten the job done against the guys he needs to. I've been really impressed by him so far. Favorite of everybody involved, Godfredo Pepe versus Mike De La Torre.
Is he a favorite?
You're not on the Godfredo Pepe train?
I mean,
if he goes out, he loses or wins spectacularly. You're getting something good out of Godfredo.
Yeah, I guess. That crazy flying knee against Noad Lahat. I'm surprised that you're not talking about our own Roxanne Modafferi finally fighting for the belt on Friday night.
Although I don't see any odds for that yet.
What's up with that?
I think, for Invicta, they actually typically come out a little bit closer to the fight night. But that's as you said at the top, this is a really good card. Jennifer Maia versus Roxanne Modafferi for the title, as well.
I brought in my book.
A former guest of the show, Jinyu Fry versus Hamasaki for the title as well at atomweight.
I brought in my How to Be Positive book by Roxanne Modafferi. We have the Happy Warrior. I mean, she is represented quite well on this show. She's fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
This is big. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the better Invicta cards in recent memory.
Yeah, it's solid. For the striking fans out there,
tell me Aldana. Say her name. Say her name, Aldana.
Irene Aldana.
There you go. Tiff Timebomb.
Yeah, Tiffany Van Zost is making her MMA pro MMA debut. So it's a solid one on Friday night. Let's finish this up. Actually, you finish this up.
Okay.
Dustin Ortiz and Jussier Formiga while I go get our guest.
Dustin Ortiz versus Jussier Formiga. I don't really have much to say about that. What do you want me to say? You want me to pick? I'm going to go with Formiga on that one. But let me go back to Invicta. I like the Invicta card. Fight Pass, 8 o'clock from Kansas City, Missouri. One of my favorite fighters to watch. I've said it before on this show. Jinyu Fry fighting for the atomweight title against Ayaka Hamasaki. 13-1 against 5-1. And Roxanne Modafferi in the main event against Jennifer Maia. It is a solid card. I like this card very much. And then Ryzen is back on September 25th. Kron Gracie against Hideo Tokoro. Start of the Open Weight Grand Prix. Mirko Krokop. Kazuyuki Fujita on the card. Andy Sauer on the card. Gabby Garcia, right? I think she's on the card. The return of Crazy Horse Bennett. Ryzen is back. So this is a very interesting. It's an eclectic weekend in mixed martial arts coming up. Other news last week, Jorge Masvidal. We'll talk about that before we go as well. Very upset that he had his fight with Kelvin Gastelum pulled because Gastelum is now fighting Cowboy Cerrone at UFC 205. 205, if I'm being honest, is starting to feel a whole lot like 200. It's like in this day and age with so many events, to try to make one in a long line of many special and stick out is very, very hard. I feel for the UFC on this one. It is hard to make it special. And I'm getting those feelings all over again. We shall see. Less than 2 months away. What are we? 6 blocks away from Madison Square Garden. How exciting is that? For now, let us go to our last guest of the day. Big win for him on Saturday. He defeated Uriah Hall, and there he is, Derek Brunson, texting as we get to the Skype machine. Who are you texting, Derek?
Man, you know what? I'm actually trying to keep up with the show, trying to keep up with what's going on.
Oh, wow.
So, no.
What a nice plug. What do you mean keep up with the show? So much has gone on today.
I mean, I heard you talking about Jorge Masvidal and that fight that he had. Just trying to keep up with the current stuff in MMA.
What a nice recovery that is, Derek. Thank you. Well, congratulations on the win. When you were preparing for this fight, when you got the fight, leading up to the fight, did you envision knocking him out?
I envisioned myself knocking everybody out, but I don't know. It depends. I didn't know how Uriah Hall would come at me. I mean, I saw a lot of instances, different like scenarios. He might come out and run and try to fly and knee me, try to like karate kick me, or he might come out really patient, you know? So I was just prepared wherever the fight went.
Now, when was it? Friday at the early weigh-ins, what happened between you two? You came in at the same time, right?
Well, I'm trying to think which scenario you're talking about. Because me and Uriah Hall in it like about 5 times like, all week long. He separated like 5 times. It was crazy.
Okay, tell me about each time. When did it first happen?
Well, I think the first time, open workouts. Uriah Hall was finishing open workouts, and I was going to open workouts. So he was leaving the shuttle, and I was coming to the shuttle. And we were just kind of like walking by each other, and then we both just kind of like slowed down. And then we kind of like got in each other's face, and I was like shaking my head, and he was like, yeah, all you're going to try to do is hold me down. I was like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, and then I was like, I called him a boy, and he was just getting all upset. He's like, boy, you called me a boy. You know, he was trying to get all in my face, and like a couple of UFC people came in front and like separated us. Then we had another instance in the back right after weigh-ins. He came up to me because I was sitting down ready to be interviewed by Fox, and he came up to me and just was running his mouth, you know, like every time all week long he saw me, he just came up to me and was running his mouth. And then it's funny, at weigh-ins, at the official weigh-ins, we almost got into it also. He went and weighed in probably like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 minutes before me, and I'm going to weigh in, you know, I'm like, I don't know, dehydrated, and he's already weighing in. He had a couple drinks in him, and he came up to me, and he was just like blabbing at the mouth, and then Heidi stepped in between us, and he was just like talking trash. So it was we had it out a lot that week.
Yeah. And then you go in there and you actually have to fight the guy. Did that raise the stakes after all of that? Once you get to Saturday, were you like, oh man, there is no way I'm losing to this guy after all this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I'm sure he was feeling the same way. But it's funny though, because Uriah Hall, he did all this talking. I mean, I heard all of his interviews, even when we did like, you know, the interviews for the TV, he was saying, you know, Derek is not dangerous. He's a born fighter. There's no way he can beat me, you know. And I looked across, he walked past me. When he got in the cage, he walked past me, and I looked at him, and he just looked at me, and he like blinked, and he nodded his head. I was like, I don't know if he really feel like that confident anymore. And then we got across the cage, and we were looking at each other, you know, we were staring each other down. And then I saw him blink again, and I saw it in his eyes. I was like, he is regretting everything that he said, because now he has to actually what he said, you know. So at that moment, and I smiled at him right before, you know, we got after it, but I knew at that moment he kind of regretted all the stuff he said because he had to back it up. So
the whole fight lasts 1 minute and 41 seconds. That is your 4th straight first round finish. And in this particular fight, you drop him early, and then it's ground and pound time, and then you're pulled off, and you're celebrating, and then of course everyone says, or a lot of people are saying, early stoppage. What's your response to this talk?
Man, honestly, it doesn't matter. I don't really care if it's an early stoppage, late stoppage. You know, I guess if I'm on the opposite end and let's say somebody dropped me, and I guess I would want time to recover, it kind of depends. You know, it goes both ways, but as a fighter, like Uriah Hall hasn't said anything. He hasn't posted on any social media, haven't said anything. Because, as a fighter, you can't get caught in those positions. It's martial arts. It's about protecting yourself. The fans want to see more. They're there to see fights. They want to see more. They want to see, people get put unconscious, whatever. But you can't get put in those spots. You as a mark, you can't get caught. We're highly trained individuals. So we know how to protect ourselves, and we know that, you can't get hit like that. Uriah got hit with a big left hook, and he was down. The only thing that woke him up, per se, is him hitting the canvas. Like, he dropped. He was out. He was limp. His back hit the cage, then his head hit the cage.
Yeah.
Then I hit him with an elbow. That connected. I threw another punch, and I hit the canvas. I'm not going to lie. I hit the canvas. Like, boom. And I was like, man. In the middle of punching, I was like, that was bad. Then I followed up, grazed his chin, and I grazed his head. And just looking at him, yeah, he was pretty out. And then Herb Dean stopped in the middle. And I was thinking, what are you doing, Herb? I was thinking, I thought he was going to give him more time. So I was going to, posture up and keep punching. But in my opinion, I think that was a great stoppage because he was limp, he was out. And the fans don't see every angle. Uriah Hall got up and he was single-legging Herb. But that's the thing with him also. If you have a fighter that's been punched a lot and been knocked out a lot of times, they're not going to be able to recover there or look like they was knocked out. Uriah Hall hasn't been knocked out, so his chin is relatively good. So he can recover faster. So he goes out and he comes back and like he was never out. But if he keeps taking those type of punches, he'll just be out. So, yeah, he was definitely out, I saw it firsthand.
How much did it hurt to punch the canvas?
It didn't bust my hands up or anything, but I'd rather do that again.
So do you think the left hook in its own right finished him? That's all you...
Yeah, that's vicious. And if I hit anybody with that left hook, they're going down.
Damn.
So, yeah, the left hook was what done it. It's no way he was covering. And you know what? I'm not trying to lobby or say it wasn't an early stoppage because really, honestly, I don't care. My job was to go show up and fight and to sign my show and win bonus, and that's what I did. So after that, my job was done. But my wrestling coach made the best because he's defending me on Facebook and stuff, which on the Fox thread. But he said, "You think a guy who's a 3-time All-American gonna let him get back to his feet?" Which obviously he would have got to his feet a little drunk, and his equilibrium would have been off still. That's impossible for him to recover there. Or I don't know. I'm going to be punching for 5 minutes to the buzzer go.
Man, you are on some kind of roll right now. Like I said, that's 5 in a row. 7 of 8. If you want to include the run prior to the Romero fight, the Romero fight controversial. If you would have won the Romero fight, where do you think you'd be right now? Do you think you'd be champ already?
Yeah, honestly, I think I will. Not discrediting anybody, because man, it's nothing but love for everybody who fight in my division. This isn't it's just a sport. It's not what it used to be. MMA is a sport. We go out here, we do battle. Everybody have family, friends. They train really hard. But yeah, I'm 100% confident I could beat everybody in the division. And honestly, I'm not being cocky. I'm not talking trash. But anybody who beat me will have to get lucky. Nobody's just gonna out technique me. I'm very well rounded now. I fought Jacare back in 2012, and he caught me. And I can actually watch that clip in peace, and it's funny and it's laughable because you have a guy who's been fighting for over a year, and he's fighting this guy who's been fighting in Japan, former champion. He's been through all the tough fights, and he's primed. He's ready. You got a guy like me, green. I'm coming in. I want to do well. Everybody is picking him to win. I'm like, I know myself. I'm like, I can beat this guy, but me knowing or me thinking I can beat someone, I have to be, skilled, and I have to put my time in the sport. And since then, I've done that. I've stayed true to my training. I put my time in, and I believe, I am that complete martial artist now. Nobody has seen my jiu-jitsu, but I have really good jiu-jitsu. I submit black belts. So yeah, it's only a matter of time.
What was the turning point for you? When do you think you started to become that complete fighter? Because as you mentioned, when you fought Jacare, and I'm wondering, by the way, if you still feel like you are, and I know I'm asking two questions here, but what the hell? Are you still paying for that loss to Jacare in a sense? Like, do you feel like that's why you're not getting pushed more because that didn't happen all that long ago and he's still a top contender?
No, time ago. That was what, 2012? That was my first.
Yeah.
I started fighting. My first professional fight was like late 2010.
I know it hasn't been that long.
Yeah. 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
All right, fair enough. You've done a lot, so fair enough.
Look at like Kane and like Junior Dos Santos. A lot has changed since then. Like,
Sure.
You remember that first fight on Fox?
Yeah.
When he caught him big overhand, maybe 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Everybody that who don't understand martial arts is like, oh, King sucks, blah, blah, blah. But in all reality, I mean, those who follow martial arts and know martial arts, I mean, some people get caught sometimes. It goes like that sometimes. He come back and he fights some, maybe like, a fight or two later, and he smokes him for 5 rounds. So, and then I think he fought him again and beat him. But it just goes like that sometimes.
Okay, so when do you think you turned the corner and became that well-rounded? I mean, this amazing striker. I mean, 4 straight first-round finishes in a matter of seconds is a very hard thing to pull off.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because after my fights, I'm like, man, like, honestly, I've never been I fought some high-level guys. I've been around now. I've been through Strikeforce, UFC now. But I never leave fights busted up. I had that one fight, when I messed up my jaw. But, it's just like a surreal run, I guess. I think it's just the hard work. And, yeah, I mean, I definitely need to be pushed more, The middleweight division in UFC is tough. It's stacked. The guys at the bottom, these guys been around for a long time. They've been champs in other divisions. There's a lot going on. So I definitely think I need to be pushed more as far as marketing by the UFC. Yeah.
How was Hidalgo? What was that like?
Hidalgo was cool. And funny enough, me and my cousin, we got there, and this training camp was so draining and stressful, because I was supposed to fight 200. So I was out of action for about 6 months, So I was getting antsy, and we got to Hidalgo, and we actually rented a car one day, and we went to Mexico. So we went to
Oh wow.
we crossed the border. Everybody, I got a haircut, and all the barbers are like, "Don't go to Mexico." We was like, "Why?" And it's like, it's dangerous. And one guy showed me a picture where like, it was a mom, a like 3-year-old son, and like the father, and they were all like face down, like bloody. I guess it was like somebody got killed by the cartel, like that.
Wow.
Like, yeah. But I was like, I was just bored, tired of sitting around. So we rented a car and we drove over. We drove through like, I don't know, all the like poor little towns, and it was surreal. It was very humbling. These guys live in like little small shacks the size of someone's bathroom, and I don't know. I like seeing stuff like that. It just shows you what type of world we live in and teach you to be a little appreciative. So,
did that put you in the right mindset going into a fight?
It did. It's relaxing, it's calm. It made me think. Be thankful.
Yeah.
I worked really hard, so just go out here and do what I've been training. And the rest will take care of itself.
So you were supposed to fight Mousasi at 200. You had to pull out of that fight. Can you tell us why you had to pull out?
Yeah, well, I was in Albuquerque, and my eyes just went crazy on me, and it was predominantly so. You're at a computer a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was when I'm in Albuquerque, I go and I train at about 9:30 to 11, and then I'm off for the rest of the day most of the time until like 5 or 6. So I'm on my phone just playing games, and I had LASIK surgery. And I was playing on a small phone, so it scrambled my vision from afar. So I couldn't see, like when I look from afar, I had to blink, and I couldn't see for like 90% of the day. So
wow.
It completely messed my vision. And I was like researching it, and we thought it was a concussion and all this other stuff, but just doing all the research, and I went to all the neurologists, whatever. Just that's what came back is just that my eyes started adjusting to the small screen from using it like 5 to 6 hours straight at a time, so
no more phone for you, although we just saw you on the phone. So
man, you know what I'm on right now? I'm on a big iPad. I bought a big iPad Pro, the new ones.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to look
so it's a game my phone that I can play on my iPad now. So
okay.
No, it's phone anymore. Yeah.
So Mousasi's fighting in a couple of weeks. Is that the one that you want back?
Listen, I heard it's funny. Mousasi said before. He said I saw his post-fight interviews, kind of similar to Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall was saying, it's no way Derek can beat me. I'm not worried about him. He's not dangerous. I heard similar things from Mousasi. Mousasi was saying, I'm not worried about Derek. He's not dangerous. I mean, are you kidding yourself, man? Like, Mousasi is a slower version of Uriah Hall. Like, once again, Mousasi would have to get lucky to beat me. For sure. I would love to have that fight back. Anybody who's going to do something for my brand or do something for my name, I would love to have that fight. And like I said, I'm not being cocky. I'm not being arrogant. I just work hard and I'm very confident. I feel if you just put in the time, everything will start developing at the right time.
I feel like the next fight has to be a big one, whether it's Mousasi Belfort winner, Anderson. I feel like you need a big fight now. I mean, 4 in a row. Come on. 4 in a row first round, 5 in a row in total.
You know what? I didn't want to say this, but
yes, go ahead, say it.
I wasn't going to say it, but to be honest, the best fight for me, pride-wise, would be Jacare, honestly. But you know what? Now, with saying that, this is a sport, and I heard Matt Hughes and a couple other guys say I don't do MMA for the money. I do. Like, I'm an athlete. Like, I'm not gonna be if fighting was free, I wouldn't do it. Like, I might put on like headgear. I might do like amateur style, like with some headgear, like some shin guards, double mouthpiece, something like that. I love martial arts. I love getting better. I would train. I would always train, but I wouldn't put myself in front of millions of people. It's a lot of media. It's a lot of stuff that go into fighting, not just anyone can do it. It's a lot of pressure, so I wouldn't put myself out there if it wasn't for the money. So, you're talking about a guy who's number 1 or 2 in the world. That should be a big money fight, So in other words, if I was getting paid Nate Diaz money, Conor McGregor money, that would be the first fight I would want right now.
Okay. All right. Because you want to get that one back.
Yes, and I'm very confident.
Yeah. He's fighting Luke Rockhold again in 2.5 months, so maybe the timing won't work. But who do you like in that fight?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I watched the first fight.
Yeah.
And I don't think Rockhold won that fight. I don't care what anybody say. Rockhold got dropped twice. He got taken down twice. And he really didn't land anything significant on his feet. How he won the fight is he stayed very active. He was kicking his arm, kicking his leg. He out-pointed him. He stayed more busy. So that's how he won that fight. It was very close. It was a split, but I remember the fight like in my head. But I don't know, man. Look at Bisping isn't a power puncher, and he put Rockhold down. So I don't know. But then again, Jacare is very stiff.
You're going back and forth here.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm very confused on this fight.
They should send you out there to Melbourne, get some press, get some love. Watch that thing cage side. You need some of that. You
know what? I think I'm gonna show up to Australia.
Yeah, you should.
I'm gonna do that.
I give you
got my word.
I give you a lot of respect for coming out and saying, like, there's nothing wrong with a pro athlete who's in the prize fighting business. What is this at the end of the day? You're not. I mean, that stuff that Matt Hughes was saying, it was very tone deaf, and it's very easy for a guy of his stature, when his career is all said and done, to start sort of like, putting you guys down, being like, well, why else are you doing this? We have families to feed. I mean, like, to imply that if you are saying publicly that you are fighting for money is a bad thing is really unfair to you guys. It really is. I mean, we could all live in this fantasy universe. At the end of the day, why am I doing this job? Is to make a living. We all do that. Like, we're all trying to make money. That's the whole game of life, right? So I give you a lot of credit for actually saying that, because I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but you're trying to make money here. You're trying to survive. You're trying to cash in.
It's not about survive. I'm trying to, enable my lifestyle. I'm trying to get out what I'm putting.
Sure.
I have a college degree. Honestly, if I wasn't fighting, I'm all in fighting. Like, I'm 32 now. I graduated college when I was 21, 22. I could have went back to college. I was going to go back to college and get my master's. I was going to go to law school. So therefore, I would have been established in my career, But no, I went all in on MMA, and I have no regrets. I love it. I love waking up every day training. I love being my own boss. But at the end of the day, yeah, that's why we do this. We're trying to get paid. Look at Conor. You think Conor don't fight for money?
Yeah, of course he does.
Well, he does. This guy buys everything he can find. He probably buy a street if they allow him. Like, I don't know. Like, this guy will buy anything. So, and I like Conor. I like Conor McGregor. I like his style. He does it for money. He fights for money. He's very flashy. Yeah, of course, man. That's what we do this for. Good vacations, have fun, enable a lifestyle.
Perfect world. When do you want to return?
Perfect world before the end of the year.
Okay. All right. End of the year. So maybe it won't be Jacare if it's the end of the year.
No, and it's not going to be Jacare because it doesn't make sense as far as like rankings and money. If I'm fighting one of the top 5 guys in the world, we're talking a new contract. We're talking being compensated for.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Here we go.
Okay, let's be honest. This is a business. UFC making money, and they make a lot of money. So it's a business. It's a business here.
Well, man, you are putting your money where your mouth is. You are killing it right now. Really, it's been. I remember the first time I saw you fight. Let me try to remember this fight now. It was July 30th, 2011, and you defeated. You remember who you defeated?
Was that Lumumba Sayers?
Lumumba Sayers. You came out to Miley Cyrus party in the USA.
That was on the Henderson Fedor card.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the first time I covered one of your fights in person, and very impressive. You hit a bit of a snag there with Kendall Grove, as controversial as it was, and then Jacare. Ever since then, man, you have been on fire, and it has been such a joy to watch you turn into this mixed martial artist that you have become. So congratulations on all your success, and I do hope that you get that big fight with those big riches, big prizes, because you're on the rise in that division. I hope you get that big fight. I mean, it's about time. I want to see you fight on a big card, on a big stage, against a big-time name. You have done enough to deserve that. So congratulations to you, my friend.
All right, thank you.
All right, all the best. There he is, Derek Brunson, stopping by. Looking forward to what is next for him, and appreciate him stopping by after his big win over Uriah Hall. Let us not forget that he was booked against Gegard Mousasi at UFC 200, so that was a big one. Unfortunately for him, eye issues, couldn't fight, but now I want to see him fight on a big card. I want to see him fight a big-time opponent, a big name, right? I mean, it's time, in my opinion. It is time. And how about this, Nirkrik, as we wrap this up, if you're still there?
I'm still here.
You haven't left to Thailand just yet? Nirkrik, by the way, won't be with us. Is it 2 weeks in a row or just one?
What do you mean, just one?
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I can't be responsible for anything that is said after the 3-hour mark of the show. So just for the
or the first hour, or at any point.
But what about the topic of pay? People look. I didn't bring it up there, right?
Right.
A constant theme.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it. I feel like up until this point, it's been something that people have carefully danced around.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a possibility anymore. And a lot of it had to do with, some of the headliners, guys like Conor McGregor, kind of blowing the doors off and making it okay for public consumption and really like pointing it out. So
100%. He has changed the game in that regard. Remember when I said we will look back on that Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz feud in a few years' time and just marvel at how many aspects of it changed MMA, and that's one of them. That is one of them. Also, not fighting for a belt. Why are you laughing?
Nothing.
What?
Something unrelated.
What happened?
Email just pinged on my thing. Forget about it. I saw you laughing before too. What were you laughing about? You go first.
I don't remember anything.
Okay.
I wasn't laughing about anything. Okay. That was weird. Anyway, I maintain that we will be looking back on that. Now, a lot of people talking last week before we go about Kane Verdum too. You down with that?
Down with it. But I don't know. I guess I'm hesitant. I'm kind of gun shy about it. But yeah, I of course, that's the fight to make.
Let's give props to Kane, who found out that Stipe Miocic was going to take some time off.
And
well
staying
deserved.
active.
Well deserved. Yeah, he's fought 3 times Stipe in the span of 9 months. Says, give me that fight back.
Now,
sea level, let's do it.
We've had this happen to Kane before, where he took one fight in between and it didn't go well in the title shot that followed. But
what are we talking about?
Didn't he take? Oh no, opposite. It went well. He took the Silva fight, right, and then the title shot. Okay, so maybe this is the right way to go. I'm just a little. I don't know. Did I see anything that I want to see run back? I guess. I mean, I guess we'll finally put the C-level Kane thing to bed.
Perfect scenario. We see Kane versus Stipe, but this is the best number 2. Now I wanted to see JDS versus Verdum.
I agree with you there.
Was going to fight Stipe. Now I want to see JDS versus Barnett.
That's a good one. I'll take that.
We'll see what happens there.
But yeah, I think Verdum versus JDS did a little more for me. But if this is, the path to the title shot, then that's exciting as well.
What do you like better, Masvidal Gastelum or Gastelum Cerrone?
Masvidal Gastelum? Was that even in play?
Yeah, that was the fight. Masvidal Gastelum was happening November 5th.
Okay, yes.
And then they took it away. I kind of like that one better.
Well, I like Gastelum Cerrone better because I like Cerrone better than I like Masvidal in terms of, putting on an exciting fight.
And where it was taking place, Mexico City, I liked Gastelum.
But then what do you do with Cerrone?
Masvidal better. I will say this. If you look at Cerrone's rise as a welterweight, right? So he goes from Cowboy Oliveira, right? Patrick Cote, Rick Story, Kelvin Gastelum. Like you can actually see the steps on the ladder. It really is one fighter after the next. It all makes sense. So I get that. And if I'm being honest, it actually makes more sense than the Robbie Lawler fight from a progression standpoint. But Gastelum Masvidal made, I don't know, just kind of fit better in Mexico City. I don't really know. There were some options out there. Khabib at 170 or maybe even at 155 for Cerrone if he wasn't getting the title shot. I think that has a lot more. There's no heat between Gastelum and Cerrone, and it seems like Cerrone has heat with a lot of guys. So that's why I kind of was like,
I will take keeping Cerrone active over keeping a fight between Masvidal and Gastelum together.
Yeah, but why not do the Khabib fight?
Habib versus Cerrone?
Yeah.
If that's on the table, then I'm in.
Well, Khabib said he wanted to do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know if that was.
All right.
If that was truly in play, I will take that fight way more. I would like that fight way more than I'd like Gastelum Cerrone for sure.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this week as it pertains to 205 because something's got to give, right? Yeah. It's going to happen, and there are fights that have been officially announced. In fact, I think I wrote them down. No, excuse me, not officially announced. That are probably going to happen.
One's off now. One was Iaquinta.
Liz Carmouche versus Caitlin Chukagian. Iaquinta Alves is off. Cerrone Gastelum, we know. Evans Kennedy. Edgar Stevens is still not 100% last time I checked in on it. Eddie Connor. I told you about that one. Still not done. Not close to done. Woodley, Stephen Thompson. Woodley announced that. John Vellante against Marcos Rogerio de Lima. That has been reported. Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero. Not done. So there are still some things that need to be decided in the next 7 to 14 days, I guess.
That's a good card, though.
It is a good card. If it comes to fruition, something's got to give.
Let's get Ray Janelle on that card.
Yeah.
God dang it.
Seriously. I mean, I will be sad if he's not on the card.
I will, too. I mean...
That whole story is very bizarre with the strikes and all that.
Well...
Now, if you're playing devil's advocate, you have to say, look, if you verbally agreed, maybe the best course of action wasn't to agree to a fight and then come back and say, oh, by the way, I'd like more money, right? I'm sure he'd rather have done it a different way. But you also get what he's saying about the Reebok deal and the times have changed and the contract has changed.
Also, yeah, this seems to be operating independent of that individual fight. This is the timing is because of this individual fight. But I don't think... even if he wasn't booked to fight somebody in New York, that he wouldn't feel the same way. This is just what brought it to light. So I don't necessarily feel like the issue is that he took a fight and is now kind of backing out of it. It's more an overall thing that has been building up.
Fair enough.
I get exactly what you're saying, though. Look, if you agreed to
he probably should have done it the opposite way, right?
He should have done this first and then worked it out and then decided. But clearly he has some kind of argument here, and it'll need to be addressed. And if not, then he just won't be able to fight, which is not good for any of us. But I mean, in the meantime, if you're looking for some property, you know where to go.
That's right. Ragin Al Realty. And another fascinating thing is that when you look at the divisions, bantamweight title still not booked. Featherweight, lightweight, middleweight. No, middleweight's coming up. Light heavyweight, strawweight. I'm seeing Joanna Jacek popping up in ATT, Coconut Creek, Florida. So she seems to be in the United States, and also women's bantamweight. Fascinating times in the sport of mixed martial arts. I'm sure next week we will have a lot to discuss. Sadly, New York Rick will not be with us, but we will miss you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know how sincere that was, but
listen, it's as sincere as it's going to get at 4:42 p.m. All right.
Okay, I will miss you and the fans as well.
Oh wow, I don't know how sincere that was. That was actually worse than mine, if I'm being honest.
I actually really will.
All right.
It's very rare that I miss a show, but I will.
Godspeed. Hopefully it's not raining outside. I've yet to miss a show this year, I believe. Just for the record.
Yeah, but you see, your numbers come with an asterisk.
Why?
Because you can cancel the show, and therefore
I've yet to do it.
It's not quote unquote like missing a show.
I believe from the first week of January up until September, we have not missed 1 week this year.
I think so.
That's pretty impressive. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
We're like Cal Ripken over here.
Give the people what they want.
That's right.
Okay.
Give Iaquinta what he wants.
Right.
Okay, we're done. You can hit my music. Another busy weekend coming up in the world of mixed martial arts. As I said, Ryzen, Invicta, UFC, some very good fights. And a lot of news is definitely going to happen in the next 7 days. That's one thing I know for certain. There is a lot of news that is going to happen. It always happens. It never stops. It never ends in MMA. And that's why we love it. That's why I love covering it so much. And again, I will reiterate, for the people who keep saying, why do you keep talking about money? Just look at the Brunson interview. It's on everyone's mind. It really is. The sport is changing, evolving in front of our eyes. It really is. And fighters are getting smarter than they were 5 years ago. The dynamics have changed. The finances have changed. The economics have changed. It's all changing. To ignore it would be careless, reckless. I'm not that guy. It's interesting stuff. It really is. We're going to look back on this era and say, wow, this sport was so different back then, because I do believe it's going to get better for everyone involved, for the fighters especially. It's going to get better, hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Congratulations to Chael Sonnen. Appreciate you talking about the impetus of the whole damn thing. Thank you very much to Cris Cyborg. What a story that is to follow, right? Wow. 25 pounds? What is going on here? Hopefully it ends in a positive light for her. Thank you very much to Ed Soares and Sven Beam. Congratulations. Thank you very much to Sage Northcutt. All the best to Iaquinta. Thank you very much to Paddy Pimblett, Michael Johnson. Congratulations, and congrats to Derek Brunson. Back next week, same time and place. Till they say peace. I'm out of here.